This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and a very good afternoon everyone, and welcome to our sunset drive all the way from the Masai Mara in Kenya. We are coming to you live and we are enjoying seeing a pride of lions here. And this pride of lions is called the Sausage Pride, but I am called David myself, and with me on camera today is Archie. Hi Archie. Very good. Now we got this story about my head. Pride of lions just walking in front of us, and you can see those two little cubs giving us the best joy or the best entertainment for the afternoon. How nice is that, and what a nice start for the afternoon drive from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. Remember, this is a very interactive safari, and your questions are very welcome. You can send them through #SafariLive. Thank you very much that you are all enjoying these cubs. Me too. Archie's just smiling. He won't let the camera go, and clap for them for the entertainment. Should you have any comments, you can also give your comments as usual, #SafariLive on Twitter. A lovely afternoon we have in the Mara, 25 degrees Celsius and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Personally, I'm feeling like it is below 20 degrees and below 60 degrees Fahrenheit because it's a bit chilly. But if you look in the background there, you can see the hanging cloud there. Earlier, an hour or 2 hours ago, we had some big showers or some heavy rains falling here, and they just subsided. Now, for those who have never joined us before, this Pride of Lions here is called the Sausage Tree Pride. It consists of 5 females, and now we got these 2 new editions of these 2 cubs, which I'm guessing they're about 3 months old or slightly over 3 months. At the moment, we got 3 of the 5 females. 2, I'm sure they're not very far from there, are going to jump and play with Mama. Yeah, she's trying to show Mama in future she can become a fast runner and maybe a very good hunter. Again, don't forget, as I said earlier, if you have any questions, you can send them through #SafariLive and keep giving us comments. And what we want to do is just to move on close to them and find out exactly what they want to do or where they want to go. Who would not like to watch cubs of this age just moving around in the savannah? All right, last night I had this pride with me and they brought down a wildebeest. So I do not think they're very hungry, but knowing lions, anytime they think of going to get some food, they would easily do that. Out on the drive today, I'm not the only one, and we'll now take you all the way to South Africa to a gentleman who would like to introduce himself and showing you what I'm talking about that they had last night.
Indeed, David, as you mentioned, the lions had a wildebeest breakfast, or dinner, should I say, last night, and we are looking at a herd of wildebeest, although it is a different species to the one that they have up in Kenya. As David didn't mention, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Sebastian this afternoon, and it is a warm welcome to the South African side of this safari. Hopefully you will have a wonderful afternoon with all of us. Remember to send through all your questions and comments on #SafariLive and at FC Chat. Remember to keep it quite relevant. Now, I was saying that these are a different species, so for those of you that are joining us for the first time and don't know kind of the difference between Kenya and South Africa, in that these guys that we get it's the same kind of family group, but these are a different species. These are called blue wildebeest, whereas the ones up in Kenya are the white-bearded wildebeest, and so they have a much longer kind of white beard that comes off their throat, whereas these guys tend to have a dark beard that comes down underneath their chins. And you'll find that these guys got their name because they get a sort of bluish sheen to them when the sun hits them in the right way, and so that's how the name came about. Now, in this particular area of South Africa, we don't really get big herds of wildebeest. In fact, this would be considered a grouping that would be kind of normal for us, even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them only. That would be considered a sort of normal size for this particular area, whereas up in the Masai Mara, you know, a herd of 100,000 is considered fairly normal. So it just gives you an idea of how different it is, and it's because of the terrain here. The terrain is really not ideal for a wildebeest herd. It's thick and dense. You can see they're kind of hidden behind some branches and trees, and they prefer much more open grassland where they are not hunted nearly as much by the lions. You know, it's easier for them to spot lions and see prey or predators than it is if they're sitting in thickets like this. So that, coupled with the fact that they are not animals that like certain types of grasses, they like open areas, means that we just don't get that many. Now, Seb, if you can come onto my hand quickly, there's a very, very cool little insect that's crawling around on my hand. These are the little guys that we get not that often. We don't get to see them that often, but basically what it is, you can see it just crawling around on my wrist there. It's called a stingless bee or mapani bee here in South Africa. In other parts of the world, it will also be known as a sweat bee. And so what it's doing is it's landed on me because it's trying to look for any salts that are on my skin. So they'll go around and they'll actually kind of harvest the salt, and that's why they're called a sweat bee, because generally when you start to sweat, they will come and they'll find the moisture and they will extract the salts as well as a bit of the moisture from you. Now, these guys do not sting like a normal bee does. They're just the same shape. You can see they've got that very bee-like structure, and we see them kind of from the tent quite often because they live in the giraffe skull that we have at the tent, but out on game drive very seldom do we see them. But you do have every now and then when they'll land on you like this. Now, the thing is with one of these guys, which is quite incredible, is if I were to squash this one, and obviously you don't want to do that, please do not squash any bees, even if it is trying to sting you. They are very, very precious things and we need to look after them. But if I were to squash one, the pheromones that will be released by this will attract more of them, and you'll end up getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them coming your way. And in the sort of Congo rainforest, when I was there recently, these guys were an absolute kind of nightmare because they swarm all over you as you walk through the humid rainforest. And if you kind of try and swat them away, which is inevitable when there's about 1,000 of them kind of going into your eyes and ears and noses, then that pheromone is released and there's just more and more and more, and eventually your whole face can end up sort of that color, which is quite something. So they really are an incredible thing, and then they've got the most amazing way of defending themselves. It's just, thank you. Kirsty says I've got great arm hair. It's because I spend time outside, Kirsty, and then it protects my skin from being sunburned. But I was saying that they've got the most incredible defensive mechanism. So unlike a lot of animals, like I said, that have stings and will sting you and hurt you, these guys don't quite have that. And so when they are building their nest or their kind of structure that they live in, they often have a long tube that comes out that is made of a sticky residue. And so they'll excrete this sticky residue and they'll build their kind of column, but they'll also use it to defend themselves. And it was a very interesting article that I was sent the other day, and it talks about how these guys will basically, when they're under attack, particularly by ants, is that they will secrete this substance and they will tie up the jaws of the ant as well as its legs, and so that the ant can't actually move, and then they get ejected away from that area. And so their defensive mechanism basically is to overrun the ant, tie up its mouth parts, tie up its legs, and then just kind of carry it away and leave it on the side, and then the ant doesn't actually get anywhere near it. It's really quite something. Can you imagine how clever they must be to be able to do that? Now, I'm going to leave our wildebeest now because they are wanting to rest and sleep, and I think I'm bugging them because I'm making lots of noise. Pretty sure that these wildebeest, by I would say an hour and a half's time, will be walking on to quarantine for the night to stay away from the lions, and so that's a very clever idea. Now, talking about lions, David is still up in the Masai Mara with the Sausage Tree Pride, and well, he says that they're full, but I know the lions up there sometimes just get this ravenous hunger for wildebeest as they pass by.
Sorry. Very good. My apologies, Archie. Well done, Tristan. And we still got the Sausage Tree Pride with me here, and you can see those two females are just having some fun time, just like we saw the cubs earlier. As I said, the temperatures, you know, to me feel pretty cold, but these are perfect temperatures for cats, either to go for a hunt or just to keep playing. So we've got the mother with the two cubs right there. I can at the moment see one cub. I don't know where the other cub is, but she got two cubs, which I guess they're just about 2 months old, 3 months old. Noriko, from my look, you see that female there, that is facing that cub. That is the mother of these two cubs. And if anybody might have missed what I said earlier, the sausage tree pride, or the sausage tree pride belongs, or it has 5 females in total. We got 3 now, and these 2 cubs. 2 of the females are not here, and of the 2 is the very famous one that we call the kink tail. If you look on the tail of the Rico, it's like bent, and that's why we call it the kink tail. So the one sitting with the cub just rose up now, and I'm sure Archie will be going there in a few seconds. Noriko, that is the mother of those 2 cubs. Very playful. You see how muddy they look like? They've been wallowing and rolling in the mud, playing with the mother. Very playful mother, apparently. She has been encouraging them to play, which also helps to strengthen their muscles, sharpen their claws. How wonderful. Look at that one. So of the 2, the one on the ground now is more playful than the other. And Archie was asking me, why do I think that's the case? And I said, I have no idea, but I would guess that could have been the male, and the other one is a female. At this age, it's very difficult to tell a male from a female. But in Africa, we have always thought, male animals, any species, they are more playful than the females. So the dirty-looking one, to me, that is full of mud, I'm just guessing it's a boy. You see, the mother's trying to play with that one behind there, and she doesn't look to be very playful as the other one. But as soon as the mother touches or puts her paw on the one in front, she rolls, she jumps up and down, she bites the mother's tail. Hello there. They must be on a mission. Where I saw them last night and here is about 5 clicks, 2 miles, 3 miles now. Rishi, what will happen at a particular age when they're born? You'll get them, they drop them in some crevices or some under rocks or some, I would say, some huge logs or holes, just to make sure they protect them, one, from the cold, or would be other predators like hyenas, or maybe even leopards. When the lionesses leave them and they don't attend them, they know leopards can sneak in, or hyenas can sneak in and eat them. So they will definitely hide them. When they go for hunting, definitely that's very, very important. They leave them in certain areas, and I'm sure they give them instructions telling them, do not move, stay put until we come back. We want to follow them a little bit and find out what they are up to or where they want to go, because they've been just moving in a little circle here, not knowing exactly where they want to go. And to the left, we just reverse a little bit. There's a carcass we saw here of a wildebeest that was being fed on by some vultures, and these 3 lionesses and these 2 cubs came and pushed out the vultures, and we thought they would start eating it, and they did not. You see that carcass there? Doesn't look very old if you look at it carefully. So as they kept walking earlier, they found a group of about 15-20 vultures feeding on this wildebeest, and they pushed them out, and one of the females just dragged this carcass for like another 5 meters from where the vultures were feeding on it. You see, it looks pretty fresh to me. Well, maybe a day or so, or 2 days old. You can see the color of the blood there. Looks pretty red, which means there isn't much oxidation that has gone on there. But I've thought lions rarely, they will scavenge once in a while, but not what they have killed themselves. So let me get close to them, and hopefully we might be seeing these cubs playing, which will be good fun. But before I go there, I want to show you the vultures I'm talking about, because once they were pushed out from the vultures, they went on top of that tree. Those are the vultures I'm talking about that were pushed out by the lionesses, and they went on top of that tree. It's the biggest pride of the Mara, or the biggest pride of lions in the Mara, is called the Olololo pride of lions. That's the largest pride. And in total, they are 14 in total. That's the largest pride of lions in the Mara Triangle, 14 in total. and it's called the Olololo. Olololo, I hope you can say that, Olololo. Many people struggle to say Olololo. So the pride of lions we got now is called the Sausage True Pride, and this have 5 adults, and now there are 2 young ones, making it 7, half the size of the Olololo Pride. All right, I still need to get close to these cubs, and hopefully I'm going to see them playing, because it's just perfect weather for them to be playing. From a distance, I can see them looking at me. The 3 lionesses, the females, just laying down, but the cubs, I'm imagining, they're full of energy, and they want to show maybe their mother and their aunties what they're made of, or what the future gonna be. Actually, let me know where to stop. Keep going. All right. Archie's very particular on his angles when it comes to shooting. How's that? Keep going. Okay, Archie's happy with that. We got the 2 cubs, one on top of the other. I'm not sure they're just being playful. Look at that. How cool is that? Hello, guys. Alright, that's a very good question. Now, this one's, from my own guess, I would think they could be about 3 months old. But female cubs, if, of the 2, if they're females, the chances are they're going to remain in this pride, I would say forever. But if they're males, at the age of 2, 2.5, they will have to leave. They may leave by their own choice, or the resident males may show them the door. So I would say the 2 you see playing there, if they're 2 girls, they remain in the pride. They don't leave the pride. But if they're 2 boys, anything 2 years, 2.5 years, they'll leave on their own accord. Or if they do not, and the resident males around here may come and push them out. One of the resident males around here is called Kipuli, and I will not be surprised once these cubs are getting close to 2 years or so, and one of them is a boy, or both of them are males. If they don't leave, Kipuli will come and show them the door. Hello there. Tell us what you're looking at. Where are you looking at? The vultures. So the direction that youngster or that cub is looking at is where those vultures were and where that carcass was. And I highly doubt they may want to go and start nibbling on that carcass. Very unlikely this time around, because we still got migration going on, that they might go and eat some carcass. Gary, the cubs will always listen to their parents, and I would imagine the mothers will be very careful with any noise or any calls the cubs would make. And if that would happen, there could be a possibility that can attract other predators. But I doubt it could be of that, high pitch for them to attract any predators. When they're still young, you might hear a little bit of meow, or especially when the mothers are calling them to join them. If they leave them very much behind and they're on the walk, they'll always come, keep coming, don't stay behind so much. You might get predators coming in. But Gary, what I would say, male lions, those ones will roar, and roar very hard, of course, to to advertise their presence. But like this lioness now walking here, they'll be known also once in a while to make calls, but not loud enough to cause them any trouble. So the biggest trouble, I would say, that the lions would cause for themselves would be hyenas, or maybe a pride of lions like this, maybe another, pride of lions like the Ololo that I was talking about. They're just on the move now. We'll stay here and find out where they end up or what they end up doing. But in the meantime, let's find out what Tristan got.
Well, I'm sitting here at the nest of our white-backed vulture. Now, I know lots of you have been asking about the nest and if we can pay a little visit and see what's going on. And so I thought we'd come and have a look. Now, it might look as though it's barren and empty and this chick is fledged and flown off, but that is not the case. The chick is actually inside there. It's just very difficult to see its head at the moment. Every now and then it kind of pops the head up over the lip of that nest, and so it has not fledged from this nest just yet, and probably will still be a little while. If it's sitting on the nest itself like it is today, well, then generally they haven't really gotten the muscles right yet, or even the development of the feathers to be able to take off and fly properly. They normally, once they're kind of out of the nest, will sit on the branches around the nest for a few weeks, practicing their flight, kind of doing short little routes, and then eventually take off. So it'll probably be another 3 weeks or so until we should expect it to fledge. Normally around sort of late December we start to see them kind of moving around. Now, like I say, at the moment you can't see anything, but I'm going to start the car quickly and just see if we move forward slightly, if maybe we can get a view. The problem is the light is so extreme from there. It's kind of backlighting this individual, and so it makes it very tricky for Seb to be able to actually see the head when it does pop up. There we go, there's the head. It's just popped up now. I don't know if we're going to get a view of it, but let's see if it'll keep its head up for us. But there we go, there's its head, kind of just poking out behind the branch there, and you can see the feathers ruffling in the breeze around its kind of collar, and the light is really very tricky for poor Sebastian to deal with. And that's why we didn't want to park on this side, because it makes it a lot harder to actually see this individual, and you know, against a bright sunlit sky it's not really that easy at all. But you can see there's a little bit of a breeze up there, which I'm sure would be quite nice for this vulture. It's nice to have a bit of sun, but a breeze would be better as well. Now, Kirst, I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that because my earpiece has fallen out, so give me 2 seconds. So Leah, you say that is a great nest. It is indeed. It's a well-constructed nest, and one that gets used regularly. The same pair of vultures, this is the second clutch that I've seen laid here, and the second offspring that they've had. I believe that they did do it the year before too, as far as I understand it. So been here for a while. I'm pretty sure that this nest wasn't built by them though. I'm pretty sure this nest was built by something like a Wahlberg's eagle, and then the vultures have taken it over. They often do that. They'll find other raptor nests and they'll take them over, and the reason why is because they often are nesting long before the Wahlbergs arrive back. And so while the Wahlbergs are kind of migrating northwards, and these guys come in and there's no competition. They can just land on the nest and no one does anything, and then the Wahlbergs return and there's a whole bunch of hefty vultures on there which they can't really compete with. So it does happen quite regularly where the nests of, you know, other birds of prey are used by particularly white-backed vultures, and you'll find that this is quite an unusual nest in that it's where it's positioned is not normal white-backed vulture kind of nesting sites. They like generally to nest high up in thorn trees, so you find them a lot in knob thorns. There's probably one of the more favored nests. An open marula like this is not normally that kind of favored, and I'm surprised that in 2 years of having chicks on this nest that we haven't had a leopard yet try and climb up there and grab this chick. And we've had a number of leopards that walk past here. I mean, this was an area that Hukamuri used to walk along quite a lot. Shadulu walks around here, Hosana a little bit, and not so much. I suppose last year he walked around here a little bit, but I would expect one of them to have gone up there and tried their luck to see if they couldn't bring this chick down and actually, you know, get some food out of it. It has been reported before that leopards do predate on vulture chicks, and so I'm quite surprised that these guys have been as safe as they have been over the last little bit. Anyway, we're going to leave it there because it's not a great view at all, and we're going to try and see if we can find something else. So Sammy Jane, you say it's got a cute head. Yes, it's still got a very fluffy head, doesn't it? It hasn't quite gone bald just yet, and so its head is still kind of white and fluffy and full of feathers, which will change as it gets a little bit older. Yes, well, I wonder, a face that only a mother could love. Yes, vultures unfortunately have not been blessed with good looks. In fact, they are probably not the most beautiful birds out there. Although, in saying that, while they don't have nice faces, they often have the most spectacular kind of wings, and when they're in flight, they've got beautiful coloration on their wings. If you look at like a white-headed vulture, even leopard-faced, beautiful kind of markings on the wings itself. And so, you know, the face might not be that pretty, but the actual rest of the bird is. Now, talking about pretty birds, we've got probably one of the prettiest that's sitting right in front of us at the moment, and that is a lilac-breasted roller. And you know that you go from the sublime to the ridiculous, really, between these two. It's not not really a contest. I feel a bit sorry for the vulture that we're comparing it to a lilac-breasted roller right now. It's not really the bird you'd want to follow, or would want to follow you if you were in a kind of beauty pageant, if you looked like a vulture. So you would rather kind of not have us put this on camera, but anyway, it is right in front of us, and so poor vulture is going to have to just deal with it. We'll say that the vulture went for the baby cute factor, and then this is kind of the supermodel of the bush. But it's really kind of beautiful bird, and I'm eagerly anticipating the return of the European rollers. We see them a lot more come December, and we also should be starting to maybe see some broad-billed rollers be a bit, they're not the easiest ones to see, but they should also starting to kind of come back into this area. Very, very nice, beautiful wings when they fly. Well done, Seb. Right, let's carry on. Right, now, you might have thought it was just David and myself this afternoon, but no, it's not. We have a third member of our team that is also out and about, and so let's send you across to Sydney so you can say hello.
A very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the show. I am Sydney Mikosi, and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this afternoon. We have just arrived now by the Chitwa in order to get you see the interesting wildlife. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. Oh, quite a lot of hippopotamus, and the crocodiles are excited. They're outside. Look at that. This is a beautiful sighting. You can see that I have got all the hippopotamus and the crocodiles on the background. So the hippopotamus, they are now underwater. I'm very sure the hippopotamus were so very happy yesterday when it was overcast. So this is one of those animals who are lacking the sweat glands. They do have some oil secreted by the body in order to help them during the hot season. When it's very hot, you will see the reddish kind of a fluid coming out from the side of their bodies. So you can see one of them has got quite a lot of scratch marks there. So those scratch marks, they also provide food for some of the birds, such as the oxpeckers, because when the scratch marks has got some blood and wounds, instead of the oxpeckers eating only the ticks, they end up eating the blood from an animal. So look at that, it's quite a number of them. So a group of hippopotamus like this is called a school. So this hippopotamus, they don't have a problem to share their territory with the crocodiles there. You can see the crocodiles, two of them are just lying on the other side of the bank. So the difference between the male and female crocodiles is that the males, they've got short heads, and the females, they've got long, thin heads. So this is one of those animals which can be able to sleep with one eye open and one closed. It's very much gifted. Not all animals could do that. So the crocodiles, Rosalind, the crocodiles, they have got approximately 6 teeth. And how it works there is very interesting. These animals, when their teeth are worn out, they can just generate new teeth every time until they die. That is why the crocodiles are amongst those animals with a very long life expectancy, because the teeth, they keep coming back all the time. So if you look at that stomach, unbelievable. He's got 2 sections in the stomach. One section is consisted of a lot of muscles, and this muscles has got quite a lot of rock inside. They intentionally eat the rocks in order to help to crush the bones when the bones are entering the stomach before the bones goes into the bigger stomach. Interesting. So sometimes the males can leave their water holes and travel long distances looking for the females. So they can go up to approximately 16 kilometers and more trying to find a mate. Francis, the crocodiles, they only have to mate during the season. When it comes to August is when you will see them starting to follow each other. So their mating activities, the season is only coming once a year. So they don't mate every time. So when the mouth is closed like this, it means everything in the body is perfect. When the body is starting to heat up, you will see they are going to open the mouth in order to get rid of the heat. And something interesting about them is that when the mouth is open, there is no tongue. Kimberly, the crocodiles, they can survive up to 150 to 200 years. I wish I was a crocodile. That is a very long life expectancy, so they can survive for quite a long time. So the crocodiles don't really have predators, but when they're still very young, the fish eagles, they take them, and some of the big birds can also take them as well. So, but once they are fully grown, it's very difficult for them to have predators. Only the disease and the human beings can be a problem to them. So now we are heading to David, who's got some vultures. Unfortunately, vultures don't have a chance when it comes to crocodiles. They eat everything in here by the dam.
Well, anytime you go to Chitwa Dam, you will never get bored, and I'm happy sitting there because this is always a place full of activity. And earlier Tristan was talking of or showing a nest, a vulture nest, but now here we have the actual vultures, and we got about 7 different species or types of vultures in Kenya or here in the Masai Mara. What you have on your screen there, these are the Ruppel's griffon vultures. It's a big flock of them, over 10 together, on that torchwood tree. It's the same vultures I was talking about that are not very far from the carcass, that were just pushed out from that carcass by the sausage tree, prey of lions. And the lions are still not very far from here. So what these vultures will do, will wait until these lions go away, and then they'll come down definitely and continue feeding. The one on the left there to me looks like the African white-backed vulture, and they tend to mingle and go along when they have a carcass. And if you look at them carefully, notice their heads are bare. They don't have as much feathers like the rest of the body. For one obvious reason, they tend to dig in right into the carcass to feed. And you'd imagine them, they would collect so much blood on their head, which definitely will not be very good for them, as much as no kind of any decayed or rotten meat that would be a concern for them on, on their digestion. The tree they are on is not one of the best trees for them to build a nest. They'll use, or they'll get, like say, the Ruppel's griffon vulture, cliffs or rocks where they would nest. And sometimes they have been known to fly hundreds of kilometers in a day to go and roost, then fly back. This one must be very cold. Where is your head? She must be very cold, and that tells you, I mean, I'm not alone feeling cold. As much as the temperatures on the thermometer are saying, over 20 degrees Celsius, over 70 degrees Fahrenheit, to me, I feel way below that. And that vulture is not alone by feeling cold. Yes, you need to look around and find out where the food is. I just want to show you what other species of vultures we got in Kenya, what we call true vultures. And Dennis, agree with you, yes, these things are huge. Vultures are some of the largest birds we got in Africa, and more so I'm going to show you, Dennis, one particular one that we call the Rupert's griffon vulture, which is the largest of the vultures that we have in Africa, and you'll see the size of that vulture. So right on top here we have the number 2 here. If you look at that there, how is that actually good? This is called the palm nut vulture. That's, of the 7 vultures that we have here in Kenya. And then I'll go to number 3 there. That is called the hooded vulture. Tell me when I block the march to put my finger away. That's the hooded vulture. Then I'll go to number 4. Number 4 there is the Egyptian vulture. And just to let you know, we still have them around, but not as much. We don't see them as we used to see them before. I might explain to you later why that's the case. Then what we were just watching earlier on the tree is number 5, and that's the Rupert's griffon vulture. Very many of these that we have. There's some of the vultures that fly very high. I think could be the bird in Africa I know flies pretty high, like over 30,000, 37,000 feet above sea level. Then we'll go to number 6, and that one is called the African white-backed vulture. I don't know if you can hear some lions calling in the distance. Can you hear those lions from a distance? How cool is that? And we were just talking about lions roaring a few minutes earlier, and there they were, and they interrupted my class of vultures, but I just have to finish, and maybe we'll go close to those lions and find out if they might call again. So we finished by saying African white-backed vultures. Of these 2, these are the most common ones, I would say, in East Africa. I'm talking about Kenya and Tanzania. Now, I think it was Dennis who was talking about vultures earlier and, saying or gave a comment. They're huge birds, and it's true. And this is the last one Dennis is going to show you, and I told you this is the largest of them all, and it's called the lappet-faced vulture. So of all the 7 true vultures we have in Kenya, these are the largest in size, and they're the strongest, and sometimes they call them undertakers. And if they would get any of the other species of vultures on a kill feeding, they have been known just to push them around. Another one unique thing about the lappet-faced vultures, they always go in twos, while the rest go in flocks of 5, 10, 15, 20. In general, the lappet-faced vultures go in twos. We need to go to the lions, which were roaring, and I thought that was something interesting because they interrupted my class of vultures. Alrighty. Vultures, you're free to go back to your kill now. The lions are far, and I doubt they'll be coming back to your carcass. Something tells me these lions, maybe later tonight, the lionesses might go for a hunt. Having 2 small cubs, they won't stay long before going for a hunt. Well, what would happen is, because we have the migration right now here going on of the wildebeest, once the wildebeest are gone, they might start hunting for bigger animals like a buffalo.
Indeed, I've seen the sausage tree pride go after buffalo before, and it's the thing that they target most when the migration is out of town, and so I'm sure they'll go back to their ways soon. But as you can see here in Djuma, we have some beefy buffalo, which is always a surprise at these days. I mean, we don't see them as commonly as we used to. I suppose it's gotten better, though, in the last few months. Definitely seeing more buffalo than we did last year by a country mile, and even more than we saw kind of at the beginning of this year. So at least there's some herds that are kind of moving through, but not often we get to see sort of big bulls that are just roaming about the place. So it was a bit of a shock when you came around. I kind of haven't seen it in a while, since there's this big bull just staring at you in the middle of the road. And it's definitely not a herd. I mean, there's can't hear any sound of any others moving around. And generally, when you're around herds of buffalo, you hear them. You can hear the birds and the oxpeckers and the grunting and the groaning and the stamping of branches and things like that. So definitely just the two boys at this stage. There might be a third or fourth around, but if it is, they're quite far off the back of these particular two. And you'll find that these guys are going to probably slowly feed their way kind of along. They're heading roughly towards sort of Treehouse Dam area. That's where I would kind of expect them to sort of pop out and eventually go. Buffalo requires a lot of water, and so they will need water at some point this afternoon. It's not the best water for them at Treehouse Dam. It definitely is going to be a bit disappointing when they get there and realize that it's all green and nasty. And from there, it'll be interesting to see where they go. Do they head north and kind of up towards the camp and to Gallagher Pan and Vuyatela Pan, or are they going to go kind of westwards and head off towards Red Dam and those areas? So it'll be interesting, but always nice to see these guys, and these guys are obviously going to be a welcome sight, because if we are to have lions around, we do need more of these guys. So Monique in London, you say it's nice to see buffalo alive. Yes, 2016 has scarred many that were watching at that time when buffalo were pretty much always dead. Also, we've seen a lot of carcasses of buffalo through the years, and so it's always nice when these guys are actually moving around and alive. I believe a portion of the Nkuhuma Pride, so I know Brent had some of the Nkuhumas this morning that were around Chitwa, but a portion of them were around Simambili last night, and they managed to bring down a buffalo bull. And so, you know, the Nkuhuma Pride hasn't lost their touch. It's a really weird split at the moment that there is, and I wonder when they're going to come together. It must be at some point they're going to kind of join each other. I'm just very surprised, given that they had a giraffe kill a few weeks ago, and then now, not a few weeks ago, about a week ago, and now this buffalo kill, that the rest of the pride hasn't kind of caught up with them in that area and kind of joined them over those kills. Generally, when you get big kills like that, you know, lions kind of prides normally find one another quite quickly. But anyway, now, I mean, these guys will be a good attractant for our lions to start moving back into the area. It's, you know, obviously something that the Nkuhuma Pride really needs to go after in order to feed so many mouths these days. You know, things like impalas and even something like a wildebeest really doesn't go that far when the whole pride is together, because, you know, 14-15 miles, I say 14-15 is because I'm still not sure as the numbers, because the guys say to me that there's two with the kind of lot that were on the giraffe kill, and then, you know, the one that's with this bunch that's on Chitwa. So I don't know if there's three mangy males around or what the story is, but we'll hopefully get them all together, and that will kind of end that argument as to whether there's 14 or 15. But either way, it's a lot of food that needs to be eaten, and so they need to find a lot of food for them. Brianna, a buffalo, I'd say, you know, as really as big as it'll get, might push 2,000 pounds as a scale. So, I mean, 900 kilograms would be a monstrous buffalo. Most of the buffalo that we get are going to be about 700 kgs. So, what's that? 1,500 pounds. That would be roughly what we see. There are one or two that are a little bigger and a little heavier, but very seldom will they push past that 900 kilogram mark. I mean, that's a huge animal. So, right now, it's still hot in the afternoon here, and not really the right time for our cats to be moving, but it sounds like David's lions up in the Masai Mara are about to get very vocal about things.
Now I thought I'll just let the lions take over, and you heard them roaring. And you'd imagine what we just heard. Those were the females roaring. If they were males, it could be much louder than that. I mean, a lion's roar would sometimes go up to 8-9 kilometers away, 5-6 miles. It can be heard. But I think for the females, it's definitely slightly less than that. So those to me are like two sisters, and the one laying down is the one that was roaring, and the one standing, which I guess, or I believe now is the mother of these two cubs, was just nursing them a few minutes ago. Look at the two cubs, just watching at the mother. Maybe they think, Mom, can you stay in a position where you might come and get, or come and suck again? Or did you just get enough? Fiuma, always a pleasure to hear your name. I would say we have seen sometimes the crowned eagles. Crowned eagles have been known to go for lion cubs. And though that rarely happens in the Mara because we don't have the right habitat or vegetation where crowned eagles would be, but once in a while also we have personally seen a martial eagle getting a small little I would say teeny lion cub that was abandoned by the mother, and I think it was so hungry, the mother was so hungry she could not cope and left it behind. But before she died, unfortunately, I saw a martial eagle just flew, picked up the lion cub and of course went and ate it. So eagles could be the main birds that have been known Puma to go for lion cubs. So the size of crowned eagles or the size of the martial eagles, those are large enough and quite strong to be able either to tear them apart or to lift them up and, go feeding them on top of trees. Remember, again, this is a very interactive safari drive we're doing, and you're very welcome to ask questions or giving us comments if you like what we're showing, and I'm sure you enjoy every moment. And as usual, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. April, hope I got your full question, is I think when the cubs will start eating meat, and if that's the case, normally at the age of 3, they have strong teeth and they have the right gums to be able to start eating meat. Last night, April, I saw these 2 cubs eating a wildebeest. And, oh, sorry, I got the wrong question. When the cubs start to roar, that's a good question. I may be able to find out, April, for you when they will start to roar. I do not know for a fact at what age they start to roar. I have no idea, but I'm sure at one point I'll start. Maybe 2 years or that age around, because at 2 years, if, say, they're boys or they're males and they're fully grown and big enough to be shown the door, either by the residents' males or, as I said earlier, if they choose to leave the pride, at their own accord, I'm sure that time they're independent to do a few things, including, I would say, roaring. That's just my guess. But I might be able to find out for a fact, or actually the actual date or time factor, the actual age they would start to roar. Time to have a nap. And you can see how sleepy those 2 cubs are. Very sleepy. They were just suckling before. And the female to the right of your screen there, that's the mother. And how peaceful or how serene it is to see a mother and a cub both enjoying a nap. She would definitely do that, and I would guess because she is definitely a very busy mother. Even at night, she would not be very comfortable just to sleep, because at night she'll have to keep an eye on her cubs throughout. But we all know lions are very social, so the sisters or the aunties or the first cousins in the pride will always help each other in raising the cubs. Once in a while they synchronize nursing the cubs. You might get an auntie of the cubs, and the cubs will go nurse, or just suckle the auntie without a problem. But I'm now more inclined than before that the one on the right there is the mother of these 2 cubs. Notice how peaceful they are. But once in a while they keep looking around. And I think at this age, chances are they will make it through. Lion cubs face a few challenges to get through to maturity. And number 1 for me, I would say it's hunger. They have very high mortality rate because of hunger. And then I would say number 2, predation. Predation from other predators like hyenas, once in a while leopards. But I think hunger is number 1. But this time around, until maybe next month, or early next month, we have lots of wildebeest around. And this pride of lions here, the Society Pride, have been smashing a wildebeest or a zebra every 2-3 days. And having brought one last night, as I chances thought they might bring one down tonight, I highly doubt. They may choose maybe to go another one day. Sometimes once they have eaten and they are comfortable with what they have, they might choose just to rest and digest what they have eaten. Meat or flesh being very heavy, lions have been known to rest and just keep holding what they have, just to conserve their energy. I want to give you a different angle of these females and see whether we can see their heads nicely, because two of them are facing in one direction and one is facing the other side. Well, and from the lions in the Mara, maybe more lions in South Africa with Sydney?
I am so very lucky at the moment. I've got the Unkuhuma Pride, and they are now starting to show some activities. They were all lying down when I got here, but three of them, they are up. I can see one is also coming. You will see the third one coming to join. So it's better than the other days when these lions just sleep all day long. So I'm very much interested to see what is in the stomach. So I want to see the motive behind these activities. So look at that now, is yawning. That was just a half yawn. Seems like these lions are enjoying the sun today, because normally they lie down under the trees. This is quite a very big cat. So you can see now that they are now starting to join each other. One has just crossed behind me. 11 of them, they are right here. Look, this is a very big cat right in front of me. Look at that. Fantastic. So you can see now they're starting to join each other. So it's quite a lot of them here on the right side. So they will all come and join each other. It's fascinating how the lion walks. You can see that these are part of the king of the jungles. Although the females, they are not the one regarded as the king of the jungles. So the king, the males, are the ones regarded as the king of the jungles. So as I've just indicated, that this kind of animals prefers to lie down under the shade. You can see now they are going there and use the termite mound to provide them with the shade, whereas some are using these dry trees in order to have some shade. So this one has got a little bit of an injury. I can see on the side of the mouth there. Maybe this has resulted during their hunting activities. So the females, they are the ones who are mostly responsible for the hunting activities. Males, they got omitted during this kind of hunting activities, because males have got a very important role of protecting the pride. So when going for foraging, I think it's fair enough to have them off those kind of activities. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. So we are still expecting 5 more to come. So you can see that the bellies on this female is not full at the moment. So what motivates the hunting activities on these big cats is what is in the stomach. So they rely on their speed. Yes, when going for hunting, they form a very good combination, but they must have to be light so that they can be able to dive and run very fast. So I can see that this female is limping a little bit. So you might find that it is not an injury because of sleeping all day long. So when they wake up, they limp a lot. You can see a limping lion is concentrating on the surrounding. If anything comes here, you will see that he is not injured at all. He's just tired of sleeping. So don't get surprised. I am not alone here by this sighting. I had some other guests who are also having the sighting with me. So the other ones are still coming, but they are slowly coming. So now let's cross over to Tristan, who's got the largest land mammal at the moment.
I do indeed. So things are looking up. We got our buffalo and we left them because we just thought we'd just kind of bumble about. And then we found tracks for a massive herd of buffalo. And so we thought we'd follow those around because they went completely opposite direction to those two bulls. And we bumped this elephant as well as all the buffalo. So the elephant is a little bit off them. The buffalo have moved off a bit, which we'll catch up with later. That's a massive herd, so we're not going to have too many problems there. I say massive, I mean, it looks like probably at least 100 kind of buffalo that are together. But this is an interesting kind of bull that we've got here. He's got quite interesting tusks, very, very thick for his size and his age. He's not a monstrous male by any stretch of the imagination in terms of his size, but his tusks are very thick and very worn, so there's a lot of damage to those tusks, which is quite interesting. I would have thought that, you know, they would have been in much better condition given his size. He's a bull that I would put him just at his body size, probably only in his sort of early 20s, and yet his tusks look as though they have been put through a mince grinder through his life, and so I'm surprised. Those tusks almost look like a bull of sort of 40, 50 years old, which is quite interesting. He's definitely not that old. I mean, his temples are not sunken in, his body size is not huge. He's still a young fella, but he's thoroughly enjoying whatever he's finding in that sort of fallen over tree thicket. He's kind of been sitting there for quite some time and has been pulling up leaves and grasses and all kinds of things from underneath that buffalo thorn, and I think he's now even trying to yank a buffalo thorn out of the ground by the looks of things. Is it a buffalo thorn? Ooh, difficult to see. You can see a little bit of green vegetation coming up there, and he's kind of trying to rip off some sort of small tree that's growing. It doesn't have any leaves on it, but he's definitely trying to pull something out there, and he's just not really winning. And boy, you're going to have to try a little harder than that. Get the feet involved. There we go. When feet are involved, everything seems to work a lot easier. But really nice to kind of see a bull ellie around. I mean, we've had great elephant viewing over the last kind of couple of weeks, but you know, they've all seemed to have disappeared, the herds. There's not very many herds around. I spoke to James this morning when he was out, and he said it was very quiet out here. So always nice when there's a bull ellie around. They're such gentle giants, and I love spending time with them. I'm just sad that we don't get to see some of the really epic bulls of Kruger. You know, we see a lot of Kruger elephants or bulls that come through here, but none of the really special big guys that you get in the northern parts of Kruger. And I'm sure Sebastian will agree, is that when you go up into those northern areas, you get these monstrous guys that are massive with these huge heads and big tusks, and they really are quite spectacular animals. And I really wish that we would be able to see those guys down here a little bit more often, because there is something about a Kruger bull at that size that just is both intimidating and inspiring at the same time, and it kind of just takes your breath away when you get those big bulls that walk past you. So, you know, I hope that maybe someday we'll start to see them kind of coming down this area. It's just not that common. They like to spend more time up in the north in the Mapani's thickets up there, and so you see a lot of them sort of towards Shingwetsi and Punda Maria and kind of up to the Luvuvu River. You'll find them up that way. So, but every now and then we do get one or two that kind of drifts down here, and hopefully we'll start to see them as the sort of marula fruiting season starts to come around. That's when generally our big bulls come through. Diane, because secretly an elephant wants to be a tree, so it's decided, you know, it doesn't really like this mammal role that it has, and so it secretly wants to actually be a tree, and that's why it's tried very hard to shape its trunk and to make sure it works its trunk out to look just like a tree trunk, and to make sure that it blends in. No, of course, that is not the correct answer. There is no reason whatsoever for it to look like a tree trunk other than our imagination. An elephant is not an animal that needs to camouflage. We really are its only predator, to be honest, so it doesn't have to worry about that. And you know, it's not an animal that's being hunted quite regularly, so the trunk is just, I suppose, a little bit kind of tree-like, but it's just because of the grey coloration, and that's really about it. There's no kind of rhyme or reason to it, and you know, when you see them in real life, it doesn't really look like a tree. trunk, to be honest. It's a lot more kind of flimsy and a lot more sort of flexible than you would think, and only when it's just stationary and kind of down does it give that little resemblance. But it also gets thicker towards the sort of top as opposed to a tree, which is generally kind of gets thicker towards the base rather than the top. Now he's gone and hidden right behind a bush. Naughty elephant. Our buffalo also have moved off quite a long way now, so we'll try and kind of find a different place to go. The buffalo are on our right hand side, just the beginning stages of the herd, well, I mean, I should say the end stages of the herd. I'm going to go around this bush and we should be able to get a good impression of just how many buffalo there actually are here, and I'm sure this bull will just kind of carry on sort of behind these buffalo and just sit with them feeding. And so while we do that, let's send you across to Sydney, who I'm sure is with animals that would like to be where we are with these buffalo.
So this is one of those animals who are highly interested on the big prey such as the buffaloes. You can see here I have counted just about 7 or 8. So 8 lions against something small is nothing. But a prey same size as the buffalo will be suitable for this kind of a pride. So they are now all enjoying the shade from the termite mound at the moment. Essentially, the tips of the tails on these lions, you will see them black. And this black, they use them as a follow me sign. If you check the tip of the tails and also by the ears, at the back of the ears is black. So when it comes to the other cats, such as the leopards, if you check, the tip of the tails is white, and also here behind the ears serve as a follow me sign. So, but this one for the lion, right at the end of the tail, it has got kind of a protruding bone, which is very much strong, like a spine. So a tail can tell you a lot about the internal animal mood. So just like the domestic dogs, when they are charging each other, if one of them put the tail in between the legs, it's a sign of submission. But when the tail is up, it means he is challenging the territorial male. So now they are doing what the name, the lie on, they are all just lying now. So I don't call them lions, I call them lions. So the membership of the lion family can only change when one of them dies, and if there is a mortality as well. When there is birth or this death is when the membership changes. So, but here by the Unkuhumas, they are very challenged. There's some of the intruders who are forcing themselves to join them, but normally lions don't allow that. It is very, very much quiet here where I am. I'm sure this is one of the reasons why the lions can pick the sound from a very long distance. I can also hear from far, but their ears, they are very perfect. They can hear way much better than I do. So maybe these kind of cats might hunt this evening or tomorrow, because I can see that they don't have quite a lot in their bellies. You can see that they can hear well. Something was breaking a branch. Maybe it's an elephant or something very far away from where I am. I did hear that. But the ears as well by these lions, they are investigating. So now let's go back to Tristan, who's got the buffalo head at the moment.
I do indeed, and if those lions want to hunt these buffalo, they best get on their bicycles and start moving, because they're a very long way away from where we are at the moment. But nice size herd. I mean, you can see when I said there was a big herd here, I wasn't joking. There is a lot of buffalo here. It's one of the biggest size herds that I've seen in quite some time. They all spread all the way throughout this section around our left-hand side, and they stretch out probably, I would say, about 50 meters kind of on either side of me at the moment, and moving around all ahead of us. So it's quite interesting to see how many are here. Like I say, we just saw those two bulls to start with, which actually are not anywhere near this herd. They're going the complete opposite direction to what these buffalo are going. Now this buffalo is intriguing. You see the buffalo on the left here, Seb? He's got his kind of head, he turned, and he just lifted his nose to the breeze, and there's a wind that is blowing, and I wonder if they weren't trailed by lions last night, and that's why he's just checking the wind behind him, making sure that there isn't another kind of predator that's still hunting him. So that particular male there, he just turned for a second as the gust of wind came and just picked up his nose and just stared off towards the southern side, which is quite interesting. But there's some really big boys in here. That buffalo that's facing us at the moment has got monstrous horns, and that is really quite big. So a lot of big boys, which would help protect all the little babies that we've got in here, because we've got lots and lots of little ones actually spread out between this herd, which is always quite nice. And they're slowly but steadily heading northwards, and I'm pretty sure they're going to make a turn at the pan just now around sunset. And they should appear at Vuatelapan. I imagine that's where they're going to head for water. It's the only real water from here that they can go to, and so I'm pretty sure they'll just cross the drainage line and then up the hill and then towards the pan itself. There's also two giraffe that are in amongst all of this as well. They were walking around, looks like a male and a female, that are trying to mate. And so we've got elephant, giraffe and buffalo, so three of our largest kind of animals in this particular area. I don't see the giraffe, Seb, which is quite odd because they were right in front of us. And we have question of the day. All right, here we go. Let me get ready. Hit me with it. David, no, it's not true. You're misinformed. Somebody has lied to you and told you that you cannot roller skate through a herd of buffalo. That is exactly what you can do. In fact, buffalo really enjoy it. It's one of their favorite sports that they like to watch, is roller skating people. And so they'll all actually sit and they'll kind of watch as you go along, and as you start to roller skate past them. Sometimes they'll even applaud. You'll find some of them will clap their hooves together for you if you do a good kind of job of roller skating past them. So no, you know, buffalo really enjoy a roller skating event. In fact, the more the merrier. They quite like a few humans to come through. They know then there can be a bit of a race, and sometimes what they'll do, exactly, roller derby, and sometimes they'll even throw a few little obstacles in, and how they do that is that they'll come running in and they'll try to chase the people that are on their roller skates, and that makes people go faster. So if they want things to go a little quicker, then they pretend to chase them around, and you can see, look, they give that look there. That's when they're not impressed by the speed at which you're going, and then they'll chase you, and you have to then go a little faster through the herd. And so yes, they really are very good at kind of participating in the roller derbies. They really do enjoy it. Sometimes if you find the right herd, you can convince some of the members of this particular herd, or that herd, to participate in the roller skating. You just got to get the right size roller skates. They generally like a roller skate that is a little bit longer than what us people use, and that's because their hoof is a little small, and they actually feel quite oppressed by the fact that they have small hooves, and so they like long roller skates, which makes them feel like they've got long feet. And as Kirsty mentions, they really dislike skateboarding. So as much as they love to be a part of a roller derby, skateboarding for them is a big no-no. You don't go skateboarding around them. They think that's child's play and is not as cool as going rollerblading at all. And so you'll find, oh, look at that. Did that oxpecker just get pooed on? I think that oxpecker just got pooed on. There was an oxpecker that was flying around at the back of that buffalo's tail, and it lifted it and just sprayed out some poo, and I think that oxpecker might have got hit a little bit. That's an unfortunate thing to happen. You wouldn't want that. Do you think it's lucky, Kirsty, if a oxpecker gets pooed on? Because when a bird poos on you, it's supposed to be lucky. Do you think it's the opposite way around when a buffalo poos on a bird? Do you think that for them is a lucky day? Because I don't think it must be very lucky in terms of the amount of poo that comes out of a buffalo. No, I think so too. I think it's an unlucky time to be pooed on by a buffalo, especially if it's a bit of a sloppy poo that these buffaloes sometimes have. It's not ideal to be pooed on. I'd imagine that poor bird is going to have to go and wash its wings now and try and get things right. It's because that bird, it was interrupting our rollerblading conversation and roller kind of skates. an ox. Yeah, exactly. So no longer an oxpecker, it's now an ox pooper. That is what its new nickname is, or its name in general is going to be ox pooper. And that's going to be shunned by his friends. I'm afraid he's going to be that poopy oxpecker that no one wants to be friends with. Exactly. All its friends are going to laugh at it, Kirsty. I actually watched the most weird thing, which was a suggestion by Taylor McCurdy, of all people. And she was telling me, see, these guys are a little bit kind of skittish. I wonder if maybe there's not something around. Taylor was suggesting there was some show that there was on Netflix, and it was about a kind of prank that some kid played on a high school in America. And I say this is not a joke, actually, but this kid put laxatives in the entire school's lemonade, and there was this major incident that took place, and it was at apparently a very fancy school in the States, and all the kids obviously drank the lemonade, and they all had to run to the toilets, and it was a major mess that was taking place. And he laughed at them, and of course it was because he had been bullied. So it's a really sad story, but it was really quite hectic. And so you don't want any sort of diarrhea action, especially in even a herd of buffalo. So if you're an oxpecker, exactly. Yes, Kirsty's filling my head with all kinds of puns, as I can imagine you all kind of can think of. And so we're not going to use that one though, Kirsty. I might get in trouble for that one. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go towards the road. The road is not very far, and I'm actually going to try and get ahead of these guys so that we can watch them. I also don't want to go too much further because it becomes a big monkey orange thicket, and being in Rusty, I'm going to get into trouble if I take it through big monkey orange thickets, because monkey orange scratches the car apparently, and then I'm going to be in trouble. So let's not get into trouble. Let's rather be safe and go down towards the road itself. Now why, oh why, would there be a monkey orange thick branch? Is it off, Sebastian? Sounds like it's off. Maybe not. It's alright, by the time we get out of here it will be off. Slowly. We've got to go slowly. Sebastian's saying slowly because there was a tree in the way and we almost hit the camera, and we don't want to hit the camera. Right, now I'm going to try and find a way through these buffalo and that we don't disturb them. But while I do that, let's send you across to David and the lions, who I'm sure are quite happy also not to be pooped on by a herd of buffalo, much like the oxpeckers.
Well, buffaloes, as big as they are, when time comes for the migration to leave the Mara and go to Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, buffaloes are always on top of the menu for the lions, including the sausage tree pride. What a beautiful sky we got in the background there. And I'm just wondering whether these lions or lionesses and their cubs know what a great sunset we have in the background. The three girls just slowed down now and not much of activity going on. But if you look carefully, the two cubs, you notice they're very social, they're very playful, just like not really grooming each other, but like, hi sister, hi brother. How cute is that, eh? So what comes into play now are their survival kit, and I'm talking about either their teeth or their claws. Pushing each other with their paws, and how they blend in very well in that grass there. That if you'd come here like 4 or 5 months ago, the grass was very, very tall, the red oat grass, but the wildebeest have come through here, eaten most of it, trampled on the rest, and now this is what was left. That's definitely the mother of these two cubs. She rises and shines, and the cubs, you can tell, automatically follows the mother. She'll first go to the two sisters, or first cousins, to her left, and maybe of the three, she's like either the pathfinder or maybe make some crucial decisions. Do you want to nudge them up, or what do you want to tell them? She plunges herself right in the middle there. So you've got 5. Oops, nice jump. Big yawn. And I got a feeling they want now to conserve their body heat by staying together as the temperatures go down. And again, remember, this is a very interactive safari drive that we do. Should you have any questions, send them on Twitter, #SafariLive. any nice comment you have, send it through to give it to us. Alan, it's very difficult to know where the males are. Last night when we left this pride feeding, about 8 o'clock at night, or 8:30 or so, or 7:30 Central African time, we met with one big male around here that's called Kipuli, and he was about 3 miles away. 3 miles away from this pride, which is about 5 kilometers away. But at the moment, the other 2 youngsters could be very difficult to know where they are. It's very easy for me, Alan, I would say, to follow the females, because with the cubs, they tend to keep in the same territory. They don't want to venture in long distances. They do not want to tire the cubs because they're still tender and very young. And if they've found out the area they are in, it's safe, they'd want to hang around here a little bit longer as these cubs grow. Hello there. So very territorial, even the females, unlike as many people always think it's only the males when they form coalitions that are territorial, but the females also are territorial. But I would say they do not see us as a stranger or as a threat, let me put it that way, as you asked. Because we remain in the cars, and what we do, we try and reduce our body movement. We do not talk as loudly as we would, especially Archie, who doesn't talk. And if we talk, our voices are very soft. So they rarely see us as strangers. And so long as we remain in the same position where we are now, the only thing that we'll do is to turn the camera towards them. They'll, of course, once in a while turn around, look at us, and then they're just comfortable. So it's very unusual for them to see us as a threat. But should I, for example, come out of this car now and walk towards them, it will be a different ballgame, Alan. I can tell you for a fact. And having cubs, chances are the mother will come straight to me. It's so natural as this kind of mother instincts, because of having the young ones there. They'll need to protect them. So chances are she'll come towards me. But so long as you remain here, you can tell if you go back to those lionesses there, how they're just having a wonderful time, excuse me, quietly and just getting snoozy. The cubs, because of having a lot of energy in them, they still keep playing. So ideally that does not happen. But should anybody surprise them, including me, it will be different. Lions have, of course, been known to, kill or hurt people in Africa, but in general, human beings are always to blame. Chances of lions going to people themselves are very few, but it's us that go to the lions, and then we cause trouble. And we're going to be moving from my sausage tree lions to another pride with Sydney in Chuma.
You can see now these lions are still very much resting, and these females, when they are having little ones, David is right, they can be very much aggressive. At one stage I was cornered by a female with one cub, and it was a very difficult situation for me to get out of that situation. It took me almost 45 minutes. Every little movement, she was complaining, and she had to drag the little one and put the little one somewhere in the bushes, because the little one was still very young, and the little one couldn't walk by himself. So she was grabbing the little one from the neck and push it and hide it somewhere and come back and in order to confront us. It is a very difficult situation when lions has got some cubs. So you can see these lions, how they are sleeping is interesting. Some of them, they're just opening the legs. When they're opening the legs like this is when they are exposing themselves to the sun in order to get rid of the parasite. Whereas some of them are hugging each other. This is lovely. Lions, they've got quite a lot of love. Look at that. You can see that one is just hugging the other one with the nose as well against the stomach of a family member. And all females. This has got nothing to do with the rank in this family. It's just about loving each other as part of the family. When they wake up, you will see them. They are going to rub each other. They are going to groom each other. Interesting to see those kind of things. So we must learn from these kind of big cats. Ivy, indeed, this is very, very much sweet. I am very much jealous. So they are displaying a lot of love, these lions. So what I'm going to do now is that I will leave these lions for a while and go back to the cheetah just to check if there is no other activities taking place, and come back again here shortly after that to see if there will be any other developments. So now, while I am going to the cheetah dam, let's go back to Tristan, who's got the most favorite prey of the lions.
Indeed, particularly the Nkuhuma pride, they love themselves a little buffalo action, and so, I wouldn't be surprised they try and trail these buffalo into Djuma, which gives us good prospects for tomorrow morning probably. I doubt they'll get up and follow these buffalo in tonight, today during the drive, but by tomorrow morning I wouldn't be surprised they've crossed through and on the trail of these guys. Nice, really nice size herd, lots of little ones in it, which is perfect prey animals for not only the lions, but you also find things like leopard going after this, and we know Hosana can sometimes be around a buffalo herd, so I wouldn't be surprised if Hosana makes his way somewhere through all of this. There were the two giraffe, and they were staring intently into this drainage line behind us, and I wonder, this is where Hosana was yesterday, so I wonder if he didn't make a kill here somewhere and he's just hanging about. And if he's not on a kill, well, like I say, we know that he is not shy to go after a buffalo calf and might even try and have a go, and so you never know what's going to happen. I was talking about it the other day, but there was an epic video from Botswana of wild dogs going after buffalo calves and actually successfully killing 5 of them, so you never know what you can get. And I was just saying to Seb that I quite like spending time with buffalo herds. I know a lot of people find them very boring and that they're just like almost kind of oversized glorified cows, but for me there's always something that happens around buffalo herds. One is that it's interesting to just watch the dynamics of the herd and see kind of where everybody is. The other thing is that they're a great kind of subject because they often kick up a lot of dust, and there's often beautiful light at this time of the day, and so from that point of view it can be quite pretty. The second thing with them is that you never know what's around a buffalo herd. For some reason they tend to attract stuff to them, and it's probably because they're so noisy, on one hand. The second thing is that they are preyed on by a lot of cats and things like that, and so things kind of come towards them and investigate what goes on. You often find hyenas around buffalo herds, like I say, lions trailing them. We don't know where that Avoca male went last night. He could easily be behind this herd at the moment. Like I said earlier with Hosana, he often is around too. There was actually a male leopard, funny enough, in the central parts of wattled starlings. That's quite nice. A whole bunch of wattled starlings that just flew off past. There they go. So you'll see a couple of them just kind of scooting past the trees there. There they go. So those are wattled starlings. Haven't seen those in a while on Djuma. It's always nice. They follow the herds around quite a bit. But there was a leopard that used to be in the center of the Sabi Sands called the Kashan male, and he was actually very adept at hunting herds of buffalo. There was a large herd of buffalo that used to hang around the southern parts of Singita, Londolozi, Savannah area, and they often obviously have a lot of calves, and he used to go into the middle of the herds and try and hunt those calves. So buffalo herds attract a lot, and it's always good to spend time with them. I find that often sitting with a buffalo herd like this, you'll hear an alarm call, or you'll see something else happening, and we know there's an ellie around, there's giraffe around, so there's always kind of things happening around them which makes them intriguing animals to follow. So I think I'll spend probably the majority of my afternoon just following them about. I also love when they go to water in the late afternoon because they run to it to try and drink. Holly, yes, they do charge the car sometimes. Oh, it's quite nice of them crossing the road, Seb, with all the dust being kicked up with the light. So Holly, yes, they can charge the car. They can be incredibly dangerous animals. There's actually 2 videos going around at the moment that show buffalo bulls charging cars and doing quite a lot of damage to them. And so they're not an animal that you can always kind of take lightly. They're also an animal that you need to be very careful of if there are lions hunting them, because when they are upset and when they feel like they are being chased by lions, they're kind of going to stampede mode, and whatever's in their way will just be flattened, and for them to try and get out of there and save save themselves. So they can be really, really dangerous, particularly at night. If you've got lions hunting buffalo herds like this at night, you need to know exactly what you're doing, because otherwise you're going to get yourself into trouble and others. And I've seen in my time in the Sabi Sands, I've been personally witness to 2 different interactions with buffalo and vehicles that have knocked trackers off the cars completely and caused massive amounts of damage to the vehicles. And then know of a couple others that it's happened, and it's always at night, because the guys, unfortunately, 1, get too close, and 2, they turn their lights on, which is the cardinal error that you do with buffalo, is that no matter what happens with buffalo, when they're chasing and they're stampeding and it sounds like they're running straight at you, you do not flick your lights on for any second whatsoever, because you're turning on lights, a buffalo immediately can see that there's no lion there, and it will change its entire course to run towards the light. And obviously what's behind the light? You in the car, and so then they'll smash them like that. So you need to be very, very careful with them. Even during the day, watch them, pay attention. The tricky thing with buffalo is that they generally do not have a warning sign like an elephant or a lion or a leopard. Those animals are generally quite sort of showy in the fact that they're irritated, whereas a buffalo is not really like that. So a buffalo might just wander along, pick up its head, and then just start smashing the car. And one of the videos is exactly that, is a buffalo bull that's just walking slowly up the road, and all of a sudden he just loses the plot and starts smashing into the car and like hooking it with its horn, and eventually actually he ends up almost climbing onto the bonnet, which is quite something. So they can be a bit of a tricky animal, and you need to always pay attention to them and just make sure that you're aware of where you are and what's actually going on around you, and that the buffalo themselves are dangerous animals and that you should give them space. And so what I typically like to do with buffalo is generally try and always be on the fringes of the herd, so either on the sort of far right, left. Try not to generally sit in front of the herd directly, unless they're going to water. If they're going to water, you can park where the water point is and they'll come at you there. That's okay. But in a situation like this, it's much better just to let them drift kind of in front of you, or turn the car around if they're on the other side, or try and be behind them, because then generally whatever's happening is going to go away from you, not towards you. And so that's kind of how I roughly do it. It's not always the case. I mean, they can change direction on a dime and turn, but generally that's how I'll kind of position myself, and normally you'll be okay with that. You just kind of watch what's going on. The other thing with buffalo is that they're not that bad to be able to stand down. You can often kind of push them, and if they charge at you, you can kind of drive at them and they'll generally give way a little bit to you and kind of move off. Car's a big object, and when it comes with speed towards them as they're approaching you at speed, then they generally will veer off. It's when you back up that they think that they've got the ascendancy, and they'll start to kind of just hammer at you and sort of go after you. So dangerous animal. I mean, we live in a place where there's a lot of dangerous animals, but the right kind of approach and just being respectful to their movements generally can mean that you can get away with being okay and view them in a safe way. Isn't that beautiful? Well done, Seb. I quite like that, with the dust kind of being kicked up by the hooves. Very kind of pretty shots with the afternoon light as well. Sebastian has been very artistic of late. Sebastian, what's gotten into you? Yes, you've been on bushwalks and all kinds of things. Seb has been asking to do all kinds of different shots, which is always good. It's always nice when cam ops ask you for kind of different things. It's one of the best things about being out here is that we spend time a lot with cameramen, and you form a kind of cohesive unit. And it's, I know we swap cameramen most days, but you definitely start to kind of form these groups, and you start to realize what a cameraman likes. And it's always nice when cam ops will talk and will try different things, because obviously we're trying to bring you guys the best images we can, and so it's always nice when they go the extra mile. And I believe a lot of the viewers are appreciating your work, Sebastian, so well done. That's very good. Sierra, you say you're fascinated by buffalo's facial features. What about it exactly is fascinating to you? Do you like the horns, or is it the ears, or just the stares? Yes, the stare is quite something, isn't it? It makes you feel like you are being kind of analyzed to the deepest part of your soul, and that there's something wrong with you when a buffalo stares at you. It's almost as if you're going to get flattened at any minute. So their stare does definitely kind of evoke a bit of sort of hairs standing up on the back of your neck. But the rest of their features are quite cool. I quite like the sort of big ears of a buffalo and their curved horns. Their horns are epic. I like the fact that they're big and bulky monkey and kind of turn upwards. I think it's a very, very cool set of horns that they've got. Some of the bulls that we get out here can be massive. Now, you'll notice on the left-hand side here, if you look at all these buffalo to the left in the bush themselves, you'll see they're all staring very intently. They're looking behind them, they're watching, they kind of got their heads up and they're sort of looking through the bush. And the reason for that, I'm going to show you exactly why they're doing that, is because a very light-colored animal is moving through the section, and so they will stare at those kind of things because they're, oh, no, don't run now, of course you will run, but there goes an impala that's running through the bush, and so they saw that and they picked up that lighter coloration, which would be very close to what a lion's coloration is, and that's why they will stop to stare, and just to make sure that they're not actually being trailed by a pride of lions at the moment. It's why they all were very kind of aware of what's going on. And you notice all the bulls at the back that are making sure, oh, that light is just getting even better with these kind of guys crossing the road. Good. Now, while we sit with our buffalo herd, Sydney's managed to find a herd of animals of his own, but not these beefy buffalo.
I have got the largest land mammal at the moment. It's quite a very small herd. I'm not too sure if maybe others are very far away, but I'm only seeing a few. And there's a very small baby. A tiny little baby is there as well. Nice to see the small babies. Look at that. So you can see the small baby is trying to play with the trunk. So something interesting I have seen with these old elephants when having little ones is that they go, when they want to drink water, they also consider their little ones. They collect water with the trunk and they give the water to their little ones. Because these little ones, they've got to learn how to use the trunk. So they are not born with that kind of a knowledge. And if one elephant dies when having little ones, the other lactating elephant will take over and nurse the baby. Is that not amazing? So that shows quite a lot of care. So these little ones, when they're still very new, they've got to eat droppings of their mothers in order to get the digestive bacteria. They are born free of these digestive bacteria. So elephants, by this time of the day, you will see when they're feeding, they always face the eastern side. They don't want to face the western side because the sun is too bright. So they make sure that their back is against the sun. So these ones, I can see they are also avoiding that direction. From where I am, the sun is very bright at the moment. So these kind of animals, if you flash on them, they get very irritated. So the elephants, in their eyes, there's something there, I'm not too sure what exactly it is, but when you look at the eyes, sometimes you will see they've got those kind of white colors on there. I'm not too sure what exactly it is called, but I've seen that a lot. So you can see they're pushing each other now, trying to move away. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reverse so that we can have a better sighting. So I'm just going to reverse now, see if we can see them nicely. So they're trying to have their last meal. Not their last meal actually, because elephants can eat almost all day long. They can only rest there for about 2 hours, 4 hours sometimes, for the whole day. So they spend time feeding. So you can see the bush looks very dry, but these elephants, they can see that this bush is not dry, and they can distinguish between the nutritious vegetation and the one which doesn't have nutrients at the moment. So you can see this one here walking in front doesn't have the tusk. Safari Sally, the elephants, they are associated with quite a lot of vendor story. And one of the stories I like the most is the structure of the elephants, the matriarchal structure of the elephants. So here by the elephants, the females, they have got high ranks. But if you come to areas such as Venda, if you go and ask about how it works by the chieftaincy, you will hear that the males by the chieftaincy, they are low ranked. The females, they are high ranked. In other words, when you've got the king, the chief, or the headman, those people, they don't have all the powers. The powers, they are coming from the matriarchal leader. A female oldest aunt is the one who is responsible to give approval on things. The fact that you are a king or a chief does not mean you've got a final say. And those are the people who can even take you from the chair. So you can see that the ladies, they are so very much important. So the structure of the elephant is interesting, and in Venda, we are practicing it. So I'm just gonna pull back now and see if we can have a good sighting again, as these elephants, they are feeding and they're walking pretty very fast before they cross. Sandy, the elephants, they do lie down and sleep. I have found them on several occasions just lying down against the termite mound mostly. That is when you will see them sleeping. And when sleeping, they even snore. They make a very big noise. So also when you go to the mud wallows, they go and play in mud, and they also sleep there when it's too hot. So they can rest for a couple of minutes, sometimes a couple of hours. So look at that. You can see they are just walking now on a convoy. And the little one is just in the middle. So these animals, they give birth while they're standing. The little one has to hit the ground as a wake-up call in order to kickstart their life, which is good for them to have the first breath. It's like us. They in Venda, when the child is born, sometimes they hit so that that child can be able to breathe. So during the olden days, some of the people, they were born at the villages and not at the hospitals. So these elephants are just now heading to the areas where the umkuhumas, the elephants' males, they have got a square head, and the females, they have got a round head. That is the only way I am using in order to distinguish between the two. You are very correct. So some of these elephants have got tusks. I saw the one walking in front doesn't have tusks. It's tuskless. And when it's tuskless like this, it becomes very difficult for that elephant to debug the trees, because this tusk is one of the important tools in order to take off the bark so that they can be able to eat the inner bark. So look at that. You can see that's quite a very big branch. Let's see how that elephant is going to take off the skin from that, because that is what they do when they want to also take the skin. So the skin is taken. Oh, one of them was just trumpeting now. Oh, there's some activities taking place there now. So that was a nice trumpet. So these animals can communicate from both ultra and infrasound. When they don't want to trumpet, they can also do some kind of grumbling. You will hear something like that kind of vibration. You will hear it from the mouth coming from the stomach. They can be able to communicate, to make use of that for quite a long distance. So Sensor didn't hear that. He wants me to repeat. It's something like So this is one of those animals which can be able to keep water in the body for quite a long time. So elephants is one of the animals which can be able to regurgitate water. So when walking for long distances, they can give their little ones some water from a special pharyngia which is here on the chin. So I'm just gonna pull further now and see if we can improve the sighting. So from here, the wind is coming on my direction, and I can smell the fresh elephant body. What we are smelling now, that is the smell from the elephant senso. So the body of the elephant smells like the kakibos. Kakibos is one of the plants that you can use as well as an insect repellent here in the bush. So you can see these animals, they are now getting some of the nutritious food from just the park. Elephants can be very much destructive by this time of the year because the trees don't have much nutrients on the branches, so they uproot quite a lot of trees now. But come summer season, when everything is back, when nutrition is back by the branches, is when the impact is minimal. So they are not even flapping the ears too much. Look, now it's starting to flap. So those ears also helps them in order to cool the body temperature. And this is quite a very small head. Mostly we see elephants in big heads. So now I will be heading back to the Unkuhumas just to go and see if maybe there is some developments there. So now let's go back to David, who is driving around the Mara, trying to find you something very interesting. Maybe he's going to be lucky with something just now.
Well, I'm just driving around, not doing much, but I just saw some, not sure that's an owl right there, Archie. If you go straight to my hand, looks like an owl. Not very sure what kind of a bird is that. It looks like an owl. Keep going, Archie. It's quite a decent, yes, right there. Well done, Archie. Now, darkness is coming in, and what we'll start seeing now are the nocturnal players, the owls and some nightjars and scrub hares. Yes, and I can't see her very well, but for a fact is an owl. I will not be able to tell what owl this is. Oh, just flew away before I got all the IDs on her. But yes, this time around what you see more are owls. It's getting a little cold here, and I wanted to show you something. When I was away home the other day, I decided to treat myself with this piece of Maasai cloth that you see here that we call shuka. We had Brent who used to like wearing red, and I thought I'll do something different, and I do green. But apart from that, I have a new shoe wear, and I want to show you. Actually, can you see that? Because we are now going through the short rains, and it's getting very muddy. I thought I'll buy myself a pair of gumboots, and of the small, medium-range animal species, zebras are my favorite. And I thought, I thank you very much. And Cost in the final control says, that's very stylish. And I hope all of you like my zebra boots. The reason for that is because we are now coming to the short trains. And more often than not, should we need to come out of the car to either check something on the ground, you don't get your feet getting mud. All right. So we're just hoping to see a lot of nocturnal animals now, be they birds or animals moving, but also lions or hyenas could be moving. Project Alpha, Project Alpha, Project Alpha. Well done, Project Alpha, Project Alpha. Thank you very much. You have always made my life easier. that was a marsh owl. I remember there's another owl I saw in South Africa. Project Alpha, you might remind me, it was a distance or so and it was dark, and you gave me the name. Project Alpha, thank you for being there always, and thank you for being such a birder. I've always grouped people who love birds into three. There are people who just love, watching birds, that I call bird watchers, and then I move a notch higher to people who will tend to have more interest in birds, and that group of people I call them birders. And then if you go much notch higher, there's another level of people who love birds, and I'll call them twitchers. So Project Alpha, I think you belong to that class of twitchers. I think you know your birds very well. Hopefully one day you'll come and join us in Africa and you go do birding together. When it rains, like we had rains earlier, we see sometimes some animals coming on the ground, on the road to warm up. Chimps, zebras, black with the white stripes, white with the black stripes. Oops. I would say 50-50. Sorry, my brakes are screeching because of picking a lot of sand on the ground there. But I would say 50-50, and especially I'm talking of the Bachel's zebra, or the common zebra that we see here in the Masai Mara Triangle or Serengeti. But there's another species of zebra further north of Kenya that's called the gravy zebra. And if you are... Oh, sorry about that. Well, I do not know. What do I say? I would say my shoes are 50-50. I would say my shoes are the common zebra that you have here. It's 50-50, and they're both black with white stripes and white with black stripes. Yeah, let me stick to that. If next time I'm back in town, I'll buy another pair, and I'll make sure it has more white in it than black, and that will resemble the zebra species I'm talking about. That's called the gravy zebra that's found north of Kenya. But that is a very interesting question. What my boots are. When I get to come back tonight, I'm going to look at them closely, and I'll find out what stripes outnumber the other. Archie's telling me he would want a pair of the same, but I'm telling him no, that's very unique. It's only meant for the guides. Archie, what other animal pattern would you like apart from the zebra? Which one? Well, that's it true. Archie's talking about a leopard print boot, but I'm only giving him one condition. I can get them easily when I go back home on my leave, but the only one condition I'll give him, he needs to sport a leopard before we finish the drive today. Sounds like a good plan, Archie? Yes, Archie goes, yes. So he spots a leopard before we get home. We'll get him some boots of leopard pattern, but even if I see one, I will not. What did you see there? Archie's a joker, he's saying so, a leopard, and he's just showing nothing. Show me that tree there, Archie, and see whether there's anything on top of that tree there. Just turn the camera to that tree. I highly doubt, but Archie's just a joker. What he wants is just a pair of boots very quickly for me. But that, Archie, I can tell you, I'm not going to do. Well played, Archie, but sorry, no boots for you until the day you're able to spot a leopard. All right. Archie sometimes is a good boy, but sometimes he becomes a good joker. All right, where are the scrub hares, night jars? Jasmine, always good to hear your name. Your Swahili word for today will be the patterns or the color of my boots, and you have to repeat this after me and say pundamulia. Pundamulia, that's the word or the Swahili word for the day, and pundamulia translates to a zebra. Pundamulia. So anytime I see a zebra, I'll say Pundam, and I'll try and walk outside my shoes and see if they might recognize my boots when they see them. So the Swahili word for today, Jasmine, is Pundamlia.
Sorry for the inconveniences. I am now heading much more Chitwa and see if we can find something here, because there by the lions the queue is still very long. There is some other stations waiting, so I'll go back there afterwards. Maybe we might be lucky with something interesting here where I am. So I just want to try and find a spotted cat. So no tracks. It's very quiet here. Maybe it's because of the presence of the unkuhumas. But there's something I've noticed there where these unkuhumas were. I saw there's some tracks of the buffaloes. It seems like the unkuhumas are after a head of a buffalo, small head of the buffaloes. So that's why I want to go back there and see what they are planning to do. So look at these trees. The trees are getting very, very much green here where I am. This looks pretty good. Look at that. So these are the trees which are by the dry riverbed, just by the western side of the Chitwa Dam. So it means the water underground here, it is available. So that's why the trees are very green and they've got quite a lot of leaves. This is the marula tree. So the vegetation is looking completely different from the side where I come from, which is the Juma side. So what is creating the difference is the water availability under the ground. So now let's go to Tristan, who's got a big buffalo head.
Indeed, we have the very big buffalo that are moving around. They are just, well, slowly still heading towards Vuyatela camp, where they're going to probably drink from Vuyatela pan. So they are steadily heading that way. It's obviously taking a bit of time because everyone's got to stop and feed and have a bit of a kind of look about and smell and sniff. And I'm pretty sure that they slow the kind of pace through here. It's because this is where that Evoca male lion was yesterday. He was just kind of very close to this area and where he kind of crossed the drainage last night. And so I'm pretty sure that's why they're just kind of scenting the air a little bit, just making sure that he's not still lying about here. But you can see now that slowly but surely everyone's kind of going, and you'll find the calves will follow their mothers and everybody will kind of move at a gentle pace up the hill towards the dam itself. It's really going to be quite nice when they get there, because it's unfortunately maybe a little bit late, because we would have had really nice dust if it had been about half an hour earlier, if they were here and then they made their way towards sort of Vuyatela. We would have got that golden light as the dust was kicked up towards the dam, because when they see that water they will start moving quite quickly towards it. So we'll just keep following them until then. It's always nice to spend time with animals. It's one of my kind of things, is that you know, a lot of guides will move around and see different things, but I always like to spend time with a singular animal during a drive. I find that if you spend time with things, you generally are rewarded with epic sightings, and that, you know, you get to learn a bit more about the animal's behavior. I know sometimes, like I say, people can find staying with the same animals a bit boring, but I find it quite intriguing. But why do they get the white things under their eyes? Well, this is a common debate, and no one actually really has a particular answer to what causes this white kind of patch. It's the patches because there's actually no fur left there anymore, and so there's a whole bunch of thoughts about it. A lot of people thought for a while that there was a gland there that was secreting, but if you look at something like a wildebeest or even impalas, they will secrete from preorbital glands, and yet they don't lose their fur. There was somebody that said it's because their ears hit them in the face every time they flap their ears, and that causes a wearing away of the fur, which I'm not sure I kind of agree with. I mean, I don't think that can be the case. And I suppose maybe repetitive hitting yourself in the the face might cause kind of a fur to disappear. There's also schools of thought that because there's a gland near there and also where the eye is, that there's a few parasites that congregate in that particular section. But no one really has an exact answer as to why these white patches develop. You'll notice on every buffalo it's different. Some will have very big patches, some will have small patches, and so no one actually knows the exact reason why. I would imagine it's got something to do with some sort of parasite. That would be my idea, that it's close to maybe with that gland that is very near the eye, and therefore these parasites kind of congregate there. Difficult to say, but that would be my suggestion or my school of thought. Maybe some of you out there have heard something different or have seen something different and maybe want to let us know. Now, what is that bird? It's a hornbill. It was just a hornbill that landed in a funny way. That one you can see is not just white under his eyes. He's got mud all over his face as well, so he's planted his face somewhere in the mud. I wouldn't be surprised if that was at Tundams trying to look for water and just kind of shoved his face there. You can see it's just over his muzzle at the moment, which is pretty typical for male buffalo. Isn't that very, very cool? Beautiful. All right, well, we'll keep with our buffalo herd. Like I say, they're steadily moving now, which is good news for us. They're going to go and head for water, and while they do that, let's send you back across to David up in the Mara, who is watching some stripy bottoms move away from him at the same pace as our buffalo.
Well, keep you herd of buffaloes, Tristan, and I'm having some disappearing herd of zebras here. Not herd of zebras, I hope Jasmine you're still watching a herd of Pundamulia. Pundamulia, you realize now we are in infrared, and that's the best we can do with your Pundamulia. But you've seen the patterns there of black and white, and you can see on the dashboard there's one Pundamulia that is not going anywhere. This Pundamulia might remain in this car for the next 45 minutes or 1 hour or so. But let's see if we can get closer to those Pundamulias that we saw earlier, and they just disappeared. And again, just because we're in infrared now, they tend, or we don't tend to see them very well. We need to get to them very close. Now, migration is still on in the Mara, and migration will mainly have two particular species of animals, the wildebeest and the zebras, and they'll be going in either direction. In general, the migration is clockwise as far as I'm concerned, but once in a while you will see this and that. And the confusion mainly, not the confusion, the zigzag movement is always in the wildebeest than than the other species, that's the zebra. There's a small herd coming up in front of us. Let me see how close we can get to the Pundamulia, and actually tell me if it's worth stopping or not. That's still hard there. Let me see, we pass this bush. How does that look, Archie? On the left. Sorry, my brakes are screeching again because, yeah, that's much better. Well done, Archie. Albeit being dark, you notice they still keep grazing. You know, it's got nothing that they have to eat during the day because it's much cool for them at the moment. But you notice one will always keep looking left or right, not wanting to take any chances. And they will listen out to either lion calls or leopard sawing, and they'll know areas to avoid. Lots of frogs now coming, being very busy. We can hear some from a distance. Hello. Are you safe? The sausage tree pride of lions is not very far from here, so be careful. They had a wildebeest last night, and they might want to change their menu to a zebra. And by the way, my apologies earlier. I had some gremlins and I had a technical issue, and it disappeared, but I'm back now. Technology is quite something for us to be able to reach you. I'm sure we got through lots of wires and sometimes something will go wrong. I apologize for having disappeared earlier. See how this is staying, one facing the other way and the other one facing the other direction. At one point they're definitely going to slow down and maybe stop eating to wait until daybreak, because they know so many things go wrong at night. The cat, for example, the lion's seeing better than them, and that's when, before daybreak. The lions have been known to hunt. You can see how dark it is further back there. We're still in infrared, and you can tell it's still very dark. Stevie, yes, look at those eyes. They look like light bulbs to me. And the stripes, I think they got better stripes than my boots. Stevie, what do you think? I think as much as I want to drum and trumpet my own boots, I think the zebras still would take the day. And as you can see, they're large eyes. And when we look at the two species of animals, I'm talking about the do migrate, the wildebeest and the zebras, we have always thought the zebras tend to see much better at night. And that way, it's much safer when they stay together. Keep moving. Be very careful, Pundamulia. Jasmine, I'm happy I have been able to show you the word for the day, which is Pundamulia. Let's find out whether Tristan can tell us the name for the buffaloes in Swahili, because he's been to Kenya many times, and I'm sure he knows what we call them in Swahili.
Sure. Now, David, you're throwing me under the bus a bit here because I am drawing a complete blank. I used to know this very well, and I'm now actually completely kind of blank as to what it is. I'm pretty sure I'll get it. Just give me two seconds to actually really think about this. I'm pretty sure. Oof. Why am I forgetting this? I'm getting old, everybody. Honestly, it's not a good thing. I keep forgetting the most random of things that I should remember. Yes, Inyati is exactly what it is. You're right. I wasn't sure is it spelled the same as here in South Africa? I-N. No, it's not. It's spelled with an N-Y there. So here it's N-I-N-Y-A-T-H-I. Yeah, there we go. In Swahili, it's N-Y-A. So here it's I-N. But anyway, not good. You see these grey hairs? That is a sign of age, I'm afraid, and a sign of me getting old and not remembering things, which is a bit sad, to be honest. Anyway, we're still with our buffalo. Yes, April, a massive one. In fact, almost as bad as what that oxpecker got this afternoon. It was a complete brain fart, and it was not a good one at all. So it happens, though, to the best of us at the best of times, and it is the most infuriating. Exactly, Kirst. I was that oxpecker, and David was that buffalo, and he just. Now I know what that oxpecker feels like. Poor oxpecker. As you can see, though. Yeah, ox pooper. I'm an ox pooper, everybody. Oh no. That is not a thing to say. Combined with my surname, really doesn't actually go well at all. Being an ox pooper Dix is not an ideal situation to be in whatsoever. But anyway, one can only laugh at oneself. Kirsty's in hysterics in my ear. Yeah, she's giggling. But yes, Kirsty, I know it's an unfortunate thing, isn't it? But, you know, somebody's got to take the brunt for the team and, you know, just take up the mantle of being ridiculed for the day. There's always one of us that gets ridiculed at some point during the course of a day, and now that Taylor's gone, I suppose I've got to take up that mantle and really kind of sort of lead the charge, unfortunately. Anyway, like I say, let's talk about real things. Let's talk about Buffalo and what they're up to, rather than let's not focus on me for too much longer. Unfortunately, my hope that Hosana was going to pop out has not materialized. I was hoping to see his little spotty figure kind of looming around the back end of these guys, but alas, we have not found him sort of on the back end of this herd. All we've had is a lot of flies following us around, and the best kind of flies, which you know have been kind of sitting all over a buffalo's backside the entire day. So it's really nice when that fly flies into your eye or into your mouth or up your nose. It's very pleasant. And so I've been spending my last 45 minutes swatting flies all the time and trying to keep them away from those areas, because I don't want to taste a buffalo's poop either, which is not very nice at all. Now, this conversation has gone really quite pear-shaped lately. Puji would be proud, but anyway, Puji is at home, and so he's not going to have anything to say. He won't know about it. Now, Noriko, buffalo and parasites in their horns, I take it you're talking about a horn-boring moth, in which case, no, they do not. It's not while they're alive. Those horn-boring moths only come onto the horns when the buffalo dies. And the reason why is that buffalo are very good at keeping their horns in good condition. They'll rub them all over trees and various other things, and that will cause tannins to be rubbed onto it, which deters things like the horn-boring moth from going into the horn itself. And so, no, you will not see a horn-boring insect on the buffalo while they're alive. As soon as they pass away, though, well, then you will start to see it quite all over the horns. Any dead buffalo's horns will start to show signs of it once left out in the wild for quite a bit. So no parasites on the horns, other than a few ticks around the bases of the horns, maybe a few fleas here and there. The rest is all okay. Funny enough, when 2016, when all those buffalo were dying, of course they were in a compromised state, but I spent some time going to most of the carcasses just to go and see what was going on. And we watched one buffalo die and fall over and die right in front of us, which was pretty sad. And I thought I'd just go and have a little look and just see kind of what's going on with this buffalo and you know, what's actually lives on a buffalo. And I was quite shocked at the number of parasites on them. It is incredible. This buffalo was literally crawling, not only with ticks, but all kinds of things were all over them. There was obviously flies were there, and I mean, this thing, like I said, died not even 2 minutes before we had been or walked up to it, and it really was just covered in parasites. So, you know, as much as their horns don't have anything, the rest of them unfortunately makes up for it and is completely covered. Right, I'm going to keep going though. I just want to keep towards the front end of the herd so that when they get close to the pan, I can just kind of go forward. Now, sounds like Sydney has once again found what we've been looking for and has found a spotty cat, and I wonder if it's not Kuchava.
I have got a spotted cat here and I'm very much confused. Maybe one of my viewers will help me with the identification of this cat. Look at that. Maybe it's Kuchava. So let me just try and drive further in order to see if we can have a better sighting. So this is a lovely sighting. Unexpectedly, we found a cat here. So you can see that this cat is also marking the territory. Look at that. This is quite a lovely cat, but I want to see the face so that you can easily help me with identification. So I'm going to have to drive around so that we can have a better sighting. And she is now approaching an open space, so the sighting is going to be much better. I am not alone here at this sighting. I do have some other vehicles. So quite a lot of viewers are saying that this is definitely Kuchava. Look at that. So it means Kuchava is occurring much more here by the Chitwa area. So this cat is just walking using cover by cover. So maybe it's doing some hunting activities, but there's quite a lot of marking at the moment. She's just keep marking the territory. So I'm going to have to again pull further so that we can again see her nicely. Right, I just picked up the scent mark, so that scent mark smells very nicely when it's fresh. Look at that. Now you can see that the face is on our side. So you can see that this cat is on a mission, maybe is looking for something here. It's concentrating on what is happening here. So I'm just going to keep following. So we are right by the Chitwa with the Kuchava here. And Kuchava is heading much more towards the western side of the Chitwa. So I'm going to keep following so that we can have this sighting much better. Maybe Kuchava is hunting. We might see something interesting here. So it seems like Kuchava is just doing some territorial patrol, as she is doing quite a lot of marking at the moment. So I'm just gonna see nicely if Kuchava is still normal or pregnant when she comes much more this side. She is just marking everywhere. You can see the spray of the scent there. Look at that. This is beautiful. Now we can see Kuchava very nicely. So you can see that she is on a mission. Maybe she is just now patrolling the territory. So the belly looks having something there. I'm not too sure if she is pregnant or not at the moment. So I'm just going to turn so that we can have a better sighting again. So this cat has been marking for a while now, and it's not even running out of the urine to spray against these big trees. Indeed, this is a very beautiful cat. It's a lovely cat, Kuchava. She's just going in circles. So you can see that she is listening to something here. So she is concentrating on something there. So now she might be aiming that big marula in order to mark again. Let's see what's going to happen there. You see, again, she is just urinating there as well. So the urine and droppings also helps these animals when it comes to the demarcation of their territories. Look, now she is going very fast. There is something she is looking at the back, but I can't see what exactly it is. She is concentrating in the areas where she's coming from at the moment. So I'm just going to keep following and see if we are going to be lucky with what she's looking for. Maybe she's going to do some hunting activities later on. Who knows? Let me keep following. So now, while I am following Kuchava, let's go back to Tristan, who is also driving at the moment.
I am indeed. We just did a little loop around the back end of these buffalo in the hope that we would find something kind of coming out following them, but alas, there is nothing. No tracks, no sign, which is okay. I mean, it's there's a 50-50 chance to be able to find anything, so I just thought I would try. You never know. But how cool is that Kuchava is out and about? And I actually knew that she was around this morning, so Dylan, Brent's brother, sent Brent and I a message today to tell us that they saw Kuchava this morning and that she had suckle marks, which is very interesting because who is she mated with that she's got these suckle marks? I certainly don't know of any mating that's been. I suppose there was that skittish male, wasn't there, right after she lost the cub, and so she must have kind of first off mating, she must have got it, and that's maybe why she's been so elusive, is that she's been spending time down in areas like vessels and nets in those thick, deep drainages there that make it really tricky to find anything. So that could be very well where she's been kind of spending her time. But very cool that she's out and about. Like I say, we're discussing her, funny enough, even at breakfast this morning. I was just saying that there's been no sightings of her, and then Dylan sent us a message. So I was hoping she was going to come out this afternoon and make an appearance on Chitwa, which is very, very cool. So glad that she's doing well and that she's around. She's a beautiful female, and one that we get to spend so little time with, that it's really quite nice that she's made an appearance, and hopefully this will be the start of seeing a bit more of her. Hopefully she moves those cubs onto Chitwa somewhere, and we can spend a lot more time kind of following her around. Oh, hello, hyena. What are you doing here? Yes. So there was something spotty behind the buffalo, but not exactly what we were looking for. It's not a leopard, but it is a hyena, and I quite like hyenas, so we'll definitely take it for now. This is just milling about, and it looks like heading north up Rebecca's, so definitely not towards the den or Philemon's, that's for sure. It's going the opposite direction altogether, and that belly looks quite full, doesn't it? There's a definite little sway in that belly. I wonder if Hosanna didn't have a kill here last night, somewhere in this drainage line, and these hyenas have been milling about in this section. Could very well be that that is the case, and that's why there's a little kind of fullness to that belly. Maybe they've robbed him a bit of it and he managed to get it back, or, you never know what's really happened. They might have even caught something themselves and he robbed it from them. Wouldn't put past Hosanna at all. Now, that hyena is going to disappear, I'm afraid, behind all of those thickets, which is not ideal. From there, now let's see if we can go ahead. Now, all of you are saying you're super excited about Kuchava's suckle marks. It is very exciting, always exciting when there's little leopard cubs around. Of course, this is going completely off what others are telling me. I mean, don't take it for my word, please. I don't want to be held responsible if she doesn't. I'm just relaying the information that I've been sent. So I don't know for 100% sure. I've not seen her for many months. And so I'm not 100% sure if they are really suckle marks, but from what I understand, and of what I hear from various people, as well as now Louise in Final Control says looked like there was suckle marks there, but that was apparently the kind of call that was made. But there goes our hyena still milling about down the road. Looks like one of the males from the clan. I can't see the spot pattern very nicely. I'm still learning hyenas a little bit better. It's one of those things. I get leopards very quickly and can identify leopards pretty quickly off the bat, but hyenas always take me a lot longer. I've got to kind of actually sit and study them and really kind of look and watch them for long periods until I really recognize them very well. Yes, James, you're right. It's kind of what I was thinking as well, is that she mated with that skittish male, unknown male, around the end of July, and so the time frame does fit in terms of her having cubs now. Who that male is, well, my suspicion was always that it was this male that Taylor had the other day. So not Mfakazi, because I know he's been kind of labeled a lot, and so is Gajima. Everyone said it was Gajima at the time, but I'm pretty sure it's that male that Taylor had the other day, and it would explain why she's hanging around where she's hanging around. That area there is exactly where that male has been seen the most, is in that area, and we know Tingana doesn't really go down there anymore, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that's okay. Oh, bless you. You're all right?
Yeah, thank you.
It's all happening on this car. Exactly, Kirsty. Bless you. That was quite. Do you feel better?
Was I loud?
Were you loud? Oh, no, not at all, Seb. You were.
It was quite a powerful one.
That was. You were like a little fairy. You were so quiet. I hardly heard it actually.
That's Kirsty.
That's Kirsty. Kirsty. Yeah, Kirsty sneezes like a fairy. It's like these little. Seb and I are both giggling. Sorry, Kirst. We're making fun of you a little bit. No comments. That's the first, Kirst. I don't think I've ever had a no comment from you in my ear, which is quite something. So I'll take that as a victory today, because Kirst is normally the quickest when it comes to kind of speaking and being able to pull off punny, quick comebacks, and so I'll take that as a victory for today, that is for sure. Right, now we're going to head back towards Wetele Dam now. We're going to do Ingwe Alley in case Hosanna pops out there somewhere. While we do that though, hopefully the buffalo will by then be at the dam itself, and we'll be able to kind of see them and to be able to watch them have a little evening drink. It's right. Now, while we do that, though, Sydney obviously has been following Kuchava, and if she's on a mission, then I feel sorry for him because he's going to be dragged through the thicket. So let's go across and see if he's still stayed with her.
Yeah.
Just got a kill now.
Just now. Just now.
Now it sounds like he doesn't have any comms on his side, so you're back with me, but isn't that cool that she's got a kill? Hopefully he'll be able to reposition a little bit and the comms will come back. Chitwa sometimes has a bit of dodgy comms here and there, and so hopefully Sydney will be able to sort that out. But really nice that she's got a kill. That's epic news. I know Dylan said to me this morning that he thinks she had a kill, that they just hadn't found her with it, so that's pretty good news as well. Right, now it sounds like that's all sorted, so let's send you back there without further ado.
Oh, look at that. We have just witnessed something amazing here. Kuchava managed to catch some of a prey just passing by next to the drainage line. Now she grabbed that prey up into the marula tree unexpectedly. So you can see now she's still very much tired. Nothing has been done yet to the prey. It's only now that she's starting to take off the hairs from the prey. She's going to start eating now. Now, it seems like she caught it before and now she just took it up into a tree again. But she was too fast to take this little steenbok up into a tree. So you can see that she was on a mission to come back here. So you can see now that she is in a process of scraping all the hairs. So this is how the hair balls are formed. When these animals are taking off the hairs, they end up swallowing quite a lot of hairs, as the tongue is very coarse and has got spines. Some of these hairs, she swallows them and must have to vomit them in the form of hairballs. So I'm very sure that she's going to finish this steenbok in a while. It's not a very, looks very much small. So you can see there's a very big difference between the front and the hind legs. So the hind legs are much more powerful than the front legs, because those are the legs which helps them to propel the power when they are climbing the trees with holding a prey. So you can see that not all of these hairs are going to come out. She's not going to manage to get rid of all the hairs. Some of the hairs, she will swallow them. So here I am not alone at the moment. I do have some other guests from the other vehicles. Don't get surprised when hearing some camera clicking and people talking. So this cat is very much observant here. So you can see that she's trying by all means to open the stomach in order to get hold of the intestines. So these cats, they are very much interested on the intestine. And something that I've witnessed a few days ago was that Tingana, one of the male leopards in the Juma Game Reserve, just defecated, and the hyena came and ate all the droppings. So hyenas eating the leopard droppings, it was something unusual. So this cat looks very much tired, as is, instead of feeding, is just hugging the prey. So you can see that she is just hugging the prey. Nothing is happening at the moment. And her stomach doesn't look very big. So I'm just trying to check what she is concentrating on, if maybe there is some other competitors coming to the area here. So it's very difficult for me to see where I am because she's right on top, but I can see she's looking at something from the other side. So now, while I'm still waiting to see who's gonna come here and challenge Kuchava on a kill, let's go to David, who is just driving around the Mara at the moment.
Well done, Sydney. I'm still here trying to look for the nocturnal animals. I haven't seen anything as yet of interest. I'm just seeing some eyes from a distance there. Of course, it's too far for Archie to get, and I do not know what eyes those ones could be. And my guess is they could be, yeah, right there, Archie. Right there. They're kind of antelopes, but quite a distance. They're not moving, they just seem to be feeding there. And my guess is they could be reedbucks. Yeah, the two of them, and they tend sometimes to go in pairs, a male and a female, right around that area. And I just guess the two reedbucks just feeding, because reedbucks tend to come out more at night than during the day. Archie still hasn't given me any peace because he said I refuse to see his leopard. A leopard that never was. I'm very convinced it was not a leopard, but what Archie wants is to have a pair of boots like the one I have on, and I am not doing that until I see a real leopard, because I know what a leopard looks like. That reminds me of a boy or a gentleman I used to work with in a previous camp who was my spotter, and unlike other camps where you'll have the spotter sitting on the front seat there, I had that spotter sitting at the back there, and what should happen is, because when he stands up, he would have a better view, an area view, like a bird's eye view of what was happening, or areas I could not see. Would leave the camp and then we would go out looking for animals. And on his day one, when we started working together, he told me, all right, let's go, David. He told me left, right, and asked him, why are you telling me left, right? Because I know where the lions are. And I'm like, as much as I couldn't see very far, I doubted 2 minutes or 5 minutes after we left the camp, he knew where the lions were. We drove on after about 10 minutes. he told me, move another 100 meters. I moved another 100 meters. He told me, turn to the left of that rock. I turned to the left of that rock. And then he told me, go behind that tree, right below there. I mean, from what I could see, I could not see any lions. So I went there, and I stopped, and I asked him, 1 minute, where are the lions? And he is a local boy from this area, a tribe that we call the Maasai. And he told me when he was a very young boy, he was herding his father's cows, goats and sheep. And in that particular area, or under that one tree, long time ago, he had seen some lions there, a pride of lions there. Well, I initially felt very frustrated, but me and the guests I had on board, we all laughed, And I told him, that's not what is your job now. Your job is to spot. Where I can't see, if you see a lion from a distance, a live lion right now, get it. So Archie with his leopard reminds me of that boy. So Archie, please get me a real leopard, and you might get a pair of boots the next time I'm back in town. Well, hopefully I'll be able to see something interesting, but Tristan might be having a big antelope with him.
Well, not an antelope, a hoofed animal, yes, an ungulate, but maybe not an antelope. But here you can see they're busy kind of walking straight at us now. The whole herd is arriving slowly but surely towards the Vuurtela pan. Exactly what we thought. And look at the dust that they're kicking up. This would have been spectacular about 45 minutes ago. We would have got the most insane light, but still very cool, particularly in infrared, because you get these glowing eyes and it almost looks a bit creepy as these buffalo quickly make their way towards this small little pan. And how all of these buffalo are going to fit around this, I have absolutely no idea. There must be a good, I would say 150, 200 buffalo here, and that's going to be very tricky for all of these guys to find a way to kind of jostle into position around here. We might see what we saw last time, in that they break into like two groupings and then they drink, and then one group moves off and then the other group comes in to drink. But there, look at that, all those kind of glowing eyes bouncing towards the water itself. Now they'll sniff around a bit, make sure that there's nothing untoward and lurking in the bushes before they start to take a sip. Now, we couldn't have gotten into a better position because it's so cool just kind of watching them, and look at the reflections even in the water before they disturb that. Isn't that beautiful? Worth waiting for this whole afternoon, and worth kind of just slowly following them along. Now, there we go, there's a little bit of shouting going on as everyone jostles for position. But, you know, I would have loved to have spent my afternoon with a leopard, as we know, but sometimes these kind of things are also quite cool, especially when it pays off after a long wait. And you can see they're all going to push each other around, and this is the problem with buffaloes. When they push each other like this, then they end up creating a lot of dirty water, and so then they have to wait for it all to settle before they can actually drink again. But look at this, they're just enveloping this pan, and look how long the line is going off to the back end there. You can still see a lot of buffalo coming through the dark, dusty haze with their eyes glowing. Isn't that cool? That's very cool. Now, I believe some of you are even watching on the dam cam itself, which is very cool as well. So this dam cam has been amazing this winter. We've really been spoiled by the number of sightings we've had. We've had leopards and buffalo and lions and, you know, wild dogs and everything. The only thing we haven't had is a cheetah, I think, is probably the only animal that hasn't come through. But how cool is this? You can see that buffalo must be thoroughly loving every little bit of that. Dry conditions at the moment means that these poor guys are so thirsty when they get to a water point like this. I mean, they must have walked all day to try and find this water. Luckily, this is nice, fresh water. Now, we're going to, now that the rest of the herd is arriving, we're going to just keep quiet for a bit as the splashing takes place, so you can hear what it's like when buffalo arrive at a water point. Now, isn't that just absolutely spectacular? It's one of the things about being out on a safari is, as much as it's about seeing, it's sometimes good just to listen and just to take in not only what you're seeing, but what you're hearing and what you're smelling. And it really is quite spectacular when buffalo are around water, the splashing and the grunts and the slurping and just the general kind of movement around them is quite something. Now, I believe a lot of you thoroughly enjoyed the kind of silence and the noise that the buffalo were creating. Like I say, it's a very, very special thing to be able to sit and listen to that. I feel sorry for those buffalo that arrived a bit late, though, because as you can see, this pan got turned into a buffalo cesspit in about 2 seconds. There was buffalo peeing all over the place at one point. Now, it may not seem like that buffalo is close, but I can tell you that that buffalo is sitting probably about 1.5 meters away from where Seb is sitting, so that is as close as one can imagine to us, and that's why you probably can hear a lot of them even drinking. But look at how the whole pan has just become one big buffalo kind of mess. Isn't that cool?
This one doesn't have a tail.
So as Seb has just pointed out, that one you can see doesn't actually have a tail. Now if everyone moves out the way, there you go, a little stubby tail. It's trying to wave and keep the flies away. Unfortunately, that would have been probably grabbed by something like a hyena when it was younger, and it does look quite funny. Look, it's trying to wave the shame. Can you imagine how the flies must irritate it? You can see it's still trying to wag its tail even though there's nothing there. Sorry, buffalo, that can't be very comfortable at all. How epic a sighting was this? And like I was saying earlier, is that sometimes spending time with animals, you get rewarded by getting very cool sightings out of it, and that you get to watch a lot of behavior. And so had we just left these buffalo earlier, you know, we would not have been able to kind of see the whole process of them sort of trudging their way along through this wintry landscape all the way to this water point. And it's been very cool to sit here and just listen to them going about their drinking and sitting here and just enjoying kind of being around these massive animals. They really are big and bulky creatures, and there's something intimidating about them when their eyes glow at you in the darkness. It really is quite something. So thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope that you all enjoyed it too. It's, you know, we missed the buffalo herds for many, many months now. We haven't really had as many as we wanted around during the course of last year and even sort of most of this year. And so it's been so nice to kind of have them again and just follow them about for the day and see what they get up to. The only downside to following buffalo, which luckily none of you at home have to deal with, is the immense amount of flies that come at you. And that's because now with our lights, we have a light that's on the vehicle that is on, and they are just being sucked onto this car at a rate of knots, and we are being covered in them. So flies, you're welcome to go back to your buffalo. Thank you, Seb. Seb has turned off the light on me now. So, Mrs. Zero, you say this is the best buffalo sighting you've ever seen. Well, I'm really glad that you've enjoyed it that much. It's like I say, for me, always nice to spend time with them. I know many guides are not a huge fan of buffalo because they don't have that same thrill factor that maybe something like lion or leopard have. But for me, I always like spending time with them. You never know what can happen, and watching them around water is always a joy because there's, like I say, it's not only a experience from a visual aspect. There's definitely this smell of dust in the air, and you can almost smell the kind of sweat of these buffalo. And then you've got these flies that are landing on you. You've got the smell of their dung, the noises of them grunting, their horns clashing, the water splashing, and it kind of just really, you get very immersed in a buffalo herd. It's one of the few animals that can get you to do this. You know, something like a lion or a leopard, they're silent creatures and they walk through and you kind of watch them and they take your breath away via their sheer kind of grace and power. But there's something about buffalo and elephants, as probably in the same category, that when they're in these big herds like this, that they have this ability just to awaken all of your senses and to really kind of get you to immerse yourself within that group of animals, which is a very special thing and not something you see all the time. How cool is that reflection? Nice, Seb. Seb has done a sterling effort as well, showing you all the different aspects of this herd as kind of chaos ensued. Yes, there's that autistic streak again, Kirsty. Maybe we should... Seb, you got named the wrong thing. We're going to call you... What should we call him? Which famous painter do you think we should use, Kirsty? I'm waiting for Kirsty to respond. Tough. Maybe suggestions. Hashtag SafariLive or @FC. Suggestion. What should we call Seb after a famous artist? It needs to be a... What do we think? I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of genre we should go for here, but maybe you guys can help us out as to what you think, or what artist best represents Sebastian in his French, or Gabonese French flair, should we say. That's a bit of a trick there. There's a little twist in that tale. That makes it a little bit more tricky to kind of work out. Look at that though. She's very happy. That female has kind of positioned herself right in the middle of this pan and is quite happy just to sit and wallow. Anna Marie, you say Picasso? Well, rather Picasso than somebody like maybe Dali, who's, you know, got melting buffalo and clocks and things. That would be a bit weird. If that was what you were doing, Seb, we would be a bit concerned about what is going on. But Picasso, maybe? Not a bad idea. Alex, you reckon Da Vinci. Is that Alex in FC or just Alex Viewer? Alex Xavier, okay. It's very difficult these days. We've got so many names that are in FC that we sometimes get questions, and the FC likes to throw a question every now and then at us, so it's always quite nice. Seb, I wonder if you can just point to the right here. There's a bit of a light, so I do apologize if it does blow it out a little bit, Seb. I don't know if it will, but there's so much dust that's coming off them that it almost looks like the buffalo are kind of steaming, some of them. Can you see all the dust in the background as they're kind of moving around? But so Alex reckons Da Vinci. You like Da Vinci? Beard, bit of flair. I think so. Well, you also would be a genius, Sebastian, which is... Lou says Jackson Pollock.
I don't know what that is.
Seb says he doesn't know who that is, Louise, so you can't use that. You can't call him something he doesn't even know about. Yes, so Sebastian, we'll have to show you. Maybe I can show you. Hold on. Let's try and find a picture of Jackson Pollock's on my phone quickly for you, Sebastian, so that you can agree or disagree. But I don't know, splashes of paint? Maybe not. I think Seb's been on point today, so let's see. Well, while I look for this, you guys can listen to the herd just kind of messing about next to me here. So Debbie, you say Romney. That's quite a nice one. I quite like that one. I think that will probably be the one that we'll stick with. But that's apparently what Lou thinks of your camera work.
Okay. Not bad.
So Seb's like,
Can I show?
Yes, you can show. So, I'm trying to get it to go full screen, Seb, but I don't know, it's not working here. But let's just try. Let's just get it there. I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this, but we're going to do it. So there we go. That's apparently what Sebastian's camera work looks like. If it looks like that, Seb, we've got a problem, because that means that you have got no direction.
That's very messy, yeah? Very
messy camera work. No, that's definitely not you. And that is Louise messaging me say that she didn't say that. And there she said, this team does this to me every time. They know that I show my phone regularly, and then between Taylor and Louise, they kind of will message me while I'm live and think it's funny. But anyway, Louise is saying that it wasn't her. And what did she say further to that? No, Louise, now we're going to have your whole conversation with me live on the internet, and so everybody will have... Blue said that. Oh, Blue. Sorry, Blue. Sorry, Lou, and sorry, Blue. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It sounds the same in my head. And like we said, I'm getting old, so you're going to be Blue Lou from now on anyway. In fact, you're Blue Limpy Lou. There we go. So I'm going to get a smack from Louise when I get home later. She's going to beat me. Kirsty says she loves it. Anyway, amazing after all that noise. Can you hear now? Complete quiet. Very little noise from these guys. Right, now, while these guys work out what they want to do next, and while it's still quite quiet here, let's send you back across to Sydney and Kuchava, who's having her dinner.
can see that Kuchava is still here, very much relaxed and having some dinner at the moment. I can see some of the intestines are starting to hang on the other side now. And please don't get surprised when seeing the spotlights. I am not alone here by the sighting. I do have some other vehicles also enjoying the same sighting with me. So it seems like Kuchava is not interested to feed from the intestine, because she is now pulling everything from the stomach and everything is just hanging from the side of the branch. You can see there. So let's see if she's gonna eat that or not. Maybe she's got her own special preference, unlike what we are used to see on the other side with Osana and Tingana, who also prefers to drink the stomach juice. So without the intestine, I'm sure that animal becomes very much small. So I'm very surprised to see that the hyenas are not around here when the cat is feeding, because there's quite a lot of things that are falling on the ground, and hyenas must come and also have their own share. So the hyenas own a certain percentage on every kill. So they must get a commission on every kill. So you can see what is hanging there now. Maybe that will be a portion for the hyenas. So now it's very much difficult to see which part is he feeding from the most. But he's not having a competitor, he's just feeding nicely. The competition seems to be very low here compared to the side of Juma, where when Tingana got something, we know Hosana's going to come. When Hosana got something, Tingana's going to come, and the hyenas will also come and intervene. So here, the cats are just feeding from their prey on peace. So now let's go back to David, who's got a head of the wildebeest. So the wildebeest is one of the biggest prey this leopard cannot take down. Maybe the little ones.
Well, leopards have been known sometimes to hunt prey that's almost twice their body size, and wildebeest are not exceptions. But baby wildebeest, definitely not adults. So, you know, leopards sometimes being 35, 60, 70 kilos for males. They have been known to go for prey that's like double the size, like 140 kilos, but definitely baby wildebeest. We've been talking about the migration of the wildebeest in the Masai Mara. It's still on. It's a very young calf looking at us, and you can see how she got a very dark face. She just faced the other direction. Come at night, these animals, as much as they keep eating, they tend to stop in one area. But you still keep hearing them going, I don't know, I was talking to one of the viewers earlier, looking at the zebras which had, you know, and the comment was they had some interesting, good-looking eyes. I do not know between the eyes of the wildebeest at night and the eyes of the zebras at night, which ones look more colorful. I do not know what you think. But one thing is, you know, there's a certainty here that the eyes of the wildebeest look slightly smaller in size than those of the zebras that we saw earlier. It's having a bit of a scratch. Could be ticks or mite, but now we'll always see birds that we call oxpeckers helping them get the ticks out. But so in the Mara, I'll tell you, unlike maybe in South Africa or other parts of the world, we do not have seasons here. And I would say we got one season that we call summer all around the year. That period of summer, or season of summer, it's broken by two periods of rainfall season. the long rains that will come in the month of March to around May or early June. And then we get the short rains, which just started the other day. And the short rains will always come in October through November, occasionally around Christmas. So like I would say, we have only one season, summer, all around the year. That's broken by two seasons of rainfall, long rains and the short rains. Well, with the wildebeest there, it has been, good fun to have seen the sausage tree pride today, and hopefully tomorrow we're going to continue looking for them, and maybe they might be lucky to bring, zebra down or wildebeest down. Just time to keep moving on and finding out what you might see later. Sorry, Casti, I missed you there. Could be fantastic. It has been very exciting for me and Archie today, with that pride of lions that we call the sausage tree pride, and how lucky Sydney is having a leopard that is feeding. And I'll be very sad to say, from me and Archie and from the ever beautiful Masai Mara, we are saying thank you for watching, thank you for being with us, and we'll now take you to Sydney with Kuchava, and saying goodbye and see you tomorrow.
You can see that Kuchava is still right here, finishing the dinner at the moment. I can see that she's getting very tired, although she doesn't have any competitor. She's just feeding without any problems, but I think she got a lot already because she's just feeding non-stop, and that kind of a prey is too small. She might finish it at any time. So you can see that she's trying to rearrange the positioning of this prey at the moment. The intestines are still hanging on the other side of the branch.
You can see it on flare.
So it's difficult, we can't see it on flare there. So some other people are also starting to shine some spotlights again. So I don't think Kuchava is holding the prey nicely there. Let's hope the prey is not going to fall. So you can see that this cat is not even using the front legs to balance. She's just hanging the food on the branch and eat from there. She's not supporting any balance at all. Take care. These kind of predators, they normally target the trees such as the marula tree. If you can check, the marula trees are one of those trees which allows the stem to grow big before they spread the branches. And where they spread the branches, they develop a very nice holding shape for the prey. So look at that. It's a very nice flat branch. It doesn't have any challenges there. So most of these spotted cats are preferring the amarula trees to hang their prey. So you can hear that she is now crushing the neck bones. So from here where I am, I can hear the bones broken from these very strong, powerful jaws. It's very much difficult to hear the breaking of bones, but I can hear it is happening. I'm not very far away from where this cat is. I'm just a couple of meters away. So Kuchava has got a very small mouth, so she is battling a lot in order to get all the meat. So the first droppings to come out from Kuchava is going to be very dark black, and those are the droppings that I saw eaten by the hyenas a few days ago from Tingano. So you can hear the bones crashing. So after this meal, she might not go for hunting for a couple of days, but if any of the prey comes her way, she will take it down. So the cats, they just take anything coming their way. They are very opportunistic hunters. So the prey such as the steenbok they are very much lightweight. So those are the easiest prey to take up into the tree. So you can see that the tail is moving every time, trying to support this big cat with a balance. It looks like a spotted snake. Maybe a tiger snake. So this is amazing. So you can see that the intestine might drop at any time. She is not interested on the intestine. So you can see that the steenbok they are also having the 4-chambered stomach. So they've got the rumen, where the rumination is taking place. When it's too hot, when they're relaxing under the trees, is where they store the food and take back food to the mouth. So they have got the rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum. So this is the 4-chambered stomach. Now it seems like these intestines is going to fall anytime soon. Maybe when it falls, it's going to invite some of the competitors such as the hyenas to come. But hyenas, they can easily get attracted by the blood already. So I'm not seeing any of the hyenas around here. No competition at all. So Kuchava must have to drag this prey up into the air so that we can see how much is left there. Not much is left. So this cat started eating this steenbok while we're here, but now you can see there's only just a little bit of steenbok left. So I don't think this was a fully grown steenbok. Maybe it was still very small. So you can see that now it's starting to grab from the front legs in order to pull the meat from the neck there. So there's even quite a lot of blood dripping from the stomach. Let's see now how much is left. So you can see that not much is left. It's just the stomach hanging and one side as well as the head. Look at that. In less than 30 minutes, the whole steenbok is destroyed. So I'm sure the intestines are also adding quite a lot of weight when this cat is trying to rearrange the position of the prey by this tree. So you can see now it's even trying to stand up. So let's hope it's not going to lose this prey due to the heavy weight from the stomach. So you can see that this is quite a very, very big tree. So this cat had to drag this kind of a prey high up all the way from the ground. And it happened very, very fast. I saw it happening. So it has been a lovely afternoon, punctuated with quite a lot of fantastic sightings all the way from the Masai Mara, as well as the buffaloes here by the Juma Game Reserve, together with the Unkuhumas, and Kuchava was just a bonus on top. So look at that. Thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Let's meet again tomorrow.